Hey there, it is Mr. Beat. This is another episode of 10 Questions here. And I've been doing these more and more, it seems like, actually, because they're just so much fun. I've been talking to YouTubers, and this time we have a YouTuber from the Netherlands, another one across the Atlantic Ocean, two in a row, because I talked to Jay Foreman last time. But this time it is Kayleigh During. She runs the channel History with Kayleigh. It is a channel about ancient peoples and ancient stuff, basically. Old stuff, old people from a long time ago, much longer in the much more distant past than what I normally cover, but that's kind of why I enjoy watching her videos because uh, it's just a topic I know very little about, archaeology. And she makes it very easy to understand. And I appreciate that so much. So please, everyone, welcome to 10 Questions, Kayleigh During.
Hi, guys.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Good enough. Good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, for an American, you did perfect.
For an American, yes. Well, welcome. Yeah, tell everyone else. Like, what did I like when you tried to describe your channel? How do you describe it to them?
So I describe my channel as it's covering ancient history, focusing on the Stone Age, human evolution, and new archaeological discoveries mostly. And then sometimes I venture into other topics like ancient inventions, ancient queens, things like that. Yeah.
Ancient aliens? No, kidding.
No, that's my fact or fiction playlist. One of my fun playlists where I debunk BS.
Oh yeah, good times. Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on an episode here. For the folks who have no idea how the format is, we have both come up with 10 questions. We didn't tell each other the questions ahead of time. They are 10 questions that are open-ended, and we'll go back and forth. It may sometimes the questions, in fact, often the questions have nothing to do with each other, but we don't have to go in a certain order. Like if we find like, oh, we're already kind of talking about then anyway, you can jump ahead to, but
Yeah.
to keep us on track, I usually have this little ticker because otherwise I will lose track. So this is mostly for my benefit, but also the audience.
Yeah.
So, and if you're in the chat, thanks for being here. I see you, Darren Evans. Greetings from across the pond. But yeah, if you have questions for Kayleigh or myself, I'll try to answer them as best as we can before or as we go. But mostly we're just going to answer, or we'll save those for the end of this. So yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'll
All
start us
right.
off.
All
So
right.
this is an easy one. It's related to what you just said, but why did you start making archaeology videos, Kayleigh?
Well, for many years after my surgery, I got surgery in 2012, where they removed my tailbone, and I became sort of disabled because of the recovery process from that, which takes quite a long time. For me, it was many years. And I was a bit depressed and at home, and I was often researching things, but never really doing anything with the information that I was gathering. And after many years, I think it was, 2020 is like 8 years after my surgery. That's when I decided to just, I don't know, write a script from some of the things that I had been researching, which were the standing stones of Callanish on the Isle of Lewis and Harris in Scotland. And it was a archaeological survey that I found, which was like 400 pages that I completely read and then wrote a script about. I hated my life during that time, but I, at the same time, was excited. So, and I don't know, from one moment to the other, I just decided I'm going to grab a camera and I'm going to film this. And I started editing it and I uploaded it to my YouTube channel, which was pre-existing with like cat videos and like, trying to learn how to film and learn how to edit, but not being serious about YouTube, which is all privated now. And that first video is also privated because the audio is just bad and it's the quality is not good. So it had to like be gone. It's cursed. But there was always this love for history and archaeology. So me researching it and just keeping that information to myself kind of felt selfish in a way. So I decided to just share that with the world. And I don't know, maybe 10 people would like it. That was like the thought in my head, like maybe 10 people will like my stuff, never knowing where I would be now. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that origin story, definitely, because my first audience was my students in real life that I forced to watch my video. And
Oh, nice.
in fact, I think some of my earliest videos are also privatized because I was like, this is crap. The audio sucks, or the lighting, or just the way I talked.
Yeah.
However, I need to bring this up because I noticed that you still left a couple of those older videos on public of you singing.
Mhm.
You're a good singer.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't often do it anymore. Yeah, no, that's from a long time ago, back when I still performed often, and yeah, stopped doing that.
You
Yeah.
performed, or were you in a band?
Not really. There's like these jam sessions that they have near where I live, and that's like people that all play instruments, and then it's like a jam session night. So it's like in a bar where they have like a stage, and you have all the instruments. It's all been arranged for you, and then you come in, and then if someone can play a drum for like a song that someone wants to sing, they can just sit behind the drums, and it's all very fluid. Like
Yeah.
nothing is prearranged. It's just that, hey, you call up front, like, I want to sing this particular song. And then as soon as everyone comes in, they like try to find the musicians for each song. Yeah.
We have similar things in the United States, but they're not very common. They're awesome though. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
neat.
they're really awesome. Yeah.
It's so weird how many history tubers in particular that are also musicians and or perform on the stage. Like I always
Yeah.
joke around, kind of half jokingly at this point, that we should all start a band. I was just like,
We should.
yeah, I mean, like it's so weird. Anyway, so yeah, check out not only Kayleigh's archaeology videos, but the singing videos. All right, so yeah, it's your turn. What you got for me?
Well, I mean, it's a similar question, but it's like the first. So usually it's a similar question. So my first question was not only why did you start making videos and how did you decide on your niche, but also was it because of you wanted to reach more people outside of your classroom, like spread the knowledge further? Was it more like that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm also like just passionate about what I teach or what I taught in the classroom, which primarily it was American history, American government, and geography, and then later economics. And I just, I mean, it's the same reason why. I mean, I started out teaching middle school, and then I moved up to high school. I kind of went back and forth actually, but I liked to teach high school more than middle school, mostly because I felt like I had more of an impact, and like I could like narrow in or kind of reach more kids with what they were going to be passionate about. Because when I had them
Yeah.
in middle school, it was all kids that just had to take my class. Where in high school, some of them took it for fun as electives, as we call them. And also, I had more students in high school that I don't know. A lot of times you kind of you remember your high school teachers more than you remember your middle school or elementary. Like they have more of an impact on you, I felt. And then yeah, like I made the videos to extend my classroom around the world. Although it was purely accidental in the beginning, because when I first made my videos public was 2011, and I still wasn't really anticipating anybody else other than my own students watching them. And so, yeah, when I realized that other teachers were playing my videos to their students, that's when a light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should take this more seriously. And so by 2013, I had like really, but also like my background before I got into teaching was broadcast journalism. So I was making videos for fun, or for previous jobs anyway. So I just kind of combined, I combined it all. And it's like, YouTube didn't exist when I first graduated college the first time, 2004. I always tell people that it's like, but now it's a career. So you never know. Like I just told my daughter this yesterday. It's like, find out what you're most passionate about, and then do it, like become the best at it. Because if you become the best at it, that means you can monetize it. You can make a living off of it. I mean, you're a singer. We just established that. I'm a singer too. I'm a much worse singer than you are. But like the problem with singers is there's just too much of us. There are literally probably billions of human beings that can sing on the planet. And so it's like, unless you are Whitney Houston, or do the kids
Mariah Carey?
Carey, yeah. Then you might find something else to get really, because we have lots of passions. You've found the passion of like combining like ancient history combined with making videos, conversational videos. So yeah, that's it's nice that YouTube lets us do this.
Yeah, for real. Like when you started, it wasn't something that you could monetize even. Well, I mean, 2011, just barely monetizable. But yeah.
I think around that time.
I think it was about 2010, 2011 that they started to like unroll that. Yeah, I think so.
Well, and that was when Crash Course started, was I think 2010. And even
I remember Jenna Marbles.
Well, the only reason why they actually, they weren't making money from ads though back then. They were only making money from grants from YouTube. YouTube just gave them a grant to start. So times have changed. Hey, I got speaking of musicians who are also history tubers, shout out to Genie Vlogger, who's in the. He's also a musician.
Nice.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, it's gonna be the history band. YouTube history band. It's just gonna happen now. Damn it.
Yeah, the name would have to be like I had
very broad, because we all have like these very different niches in like history.
Yeah.
So the name would have to be like quite broad, I think.
Yeah, I'll think about it. I did have an idea for a band that we could all have, for a band name, I mean. Okay, my second question. So who is your audience? Like, how would you describe your audience?
My audience? Well, that's a fun question. So about 90 to 91% are men.
Really?
It's like, yeah. I'm having a hard time getting the women to watch me. I'm fun, girls. Like, trust me, I'm fun. But somehow they just barely click on my videos. And I have this theory, because when I have to disclose that I'm a woman on certain platforms, it's something that I don't do, and therefore I'm not seen as a female viewer. So it's possible that some of the women that are watching me haven't disclosed to Google that they are female, and therefore they're like seen as other or male, because like the default somehow is male, I think. But yeah, mostly men, and it's mostly from the ages of like 35 and up. The biggest pool, I think, is like 60 and up.
Wow.
Yeah. It's an older audience that I got, yeah.
Does that surprise you, the fact that it's old dudes like myself?
It's been like this since the very beginning I started making the videos. And when I started, it was more like architecture, archaeology. That's like what I started with like burial mounds and ancient structures that I covered in full detail, full depth, which is also like, you want to pull the hairs out of your head when you've researched one of those sites, because it's a lot of information and it's extremely dry, and you have to try and make that fun for a viewer. So that's why I kind of stopped doing that. But I think it's because of that, like the niche that I started in brought in those people. And yeah, I think, I don't know, like I wish more ladies would watch me. Especially
yeah.
ladies my own age. Like I'm only 32. So please, girls in the 30s, watch me.
That's interesting.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
like maybe you're
It's
changing
super
that.
weird.
It is weird.
But hey, when I do a sponsored video, or like I've got brands, I'm within the Black Media, and they arrange like my sponsor deals for me. And they always say, like, your audience, it's like perfection for them to try and sell me to a brand, because it's like all these adult people who all have money who watch Kayleigh. So like do a sponsorship with her. And they all want me. Like I more than often say no to a sponsored deal, because I'm like, I don't want every other video to be a sponsored deal. Yeah.
Oh boy, I wish I could do that. Yeah, that's my goal. My goal is to not do sponsorships anymore, because it just, oh,
Yeah.
it always
It's
leaves a
not
nasty
really my
taste in my
thing.
mouth. Yeah, well, I mean, I always justify it as like, oh, I got bills to pay, I got a family to feed, but I
I
wonder when
really
I'm
do.
older, yeah, like when I'm more financially secure, maybe I can just start saying, screw it, I'm not going to take sponsorships anymore.
Yeah.
Donate on Patreon, huh? Yeah. Um, well, that's interesting though. I would not have guessed it'd be more than 90% male. Um,
Yeah.
and I know you, well,
Yeah.
kind of tangential to this. I mean, I follow you on Twitter or X, whatever, and I know you get a lot of like, misogyny
Fun
and
stuff.
yeah, like just rude dudes that like objectify you and like always talking about your appearance, and I was like, I
Yeah.
wonder, yeah, like maybe that's related. The fact that you have so many.
Well, it's fun because it's either the younger generation, so that's between 20 and 40, of the red pilled people that attack me. And
Red pill.
or otherwise it's like the 60 or 50, 60 plus uh, old fashioned misogynistic men. But they both come at me like in the same sort of fashion. So it's like, how dare I have a full chest that I was born with and it was given to me? She must be a stripper. She must go back to like the red lights in Amsterdam. Like it's the people. I'm just a person. Like this is what I got in the Netherlands. Plastic surgery is not cheap. It's not something that I can get like money for, or I don't even want to change my appearance. Like this is who I am. This is what I've been given. I don't like myself, but I've learned to accept myself. And then people attack me for wearing tight clothes. I've got this like sensory issue with clothes when it comes to like clothes being very loose fitted. It feels weird and it makes me extremely uncomfortable and it itches and it just somehow like it starts to burn after a while when it's not tight, like a hug. Clothes need to be like a hug for me. So even when I wear like a loose sweater in the winter, there will always be like a tank top underneath that's very tight, so that at least something is like hugging me. It's a 90s thing, I think. Like people from the 90s, late 80s often wore like a shirt, like a tank top underneath their clothes, because that's just how we grew up. And I still do that because, yeah, it's weird. It's a sensory issue. So people attack me for like being, how do you say it? Like they sexualize the fact that I have myself in the thumbnails, and it's I'm being suggestive. That's the thing they often say. I'm
That's
being
so freaking
suggestive.
annoying. They need to
Even though
grow
like
up.
usually I'm like clothed up until my neck. Like how what? I do not understand this at all.
And if I wear
Like
like a T-shirt in a thumbnail, and I'm often in the thumbnail, I have never been called suggestive. Like imagine someone saying, "Mr.
Matt,
Pete, you're too
you're so
suggestive."
suggestive.
You know, what the heck? That's crazy. I
It's
guess it shows
yeah,
that we have a long ways to go in terms of
yeah.
equality, and people are like, well, feminism. I don't know what, this whole new wave of feminism is ridiculous. I'm like, it wouldn't be needed if we had made progress, but we haven't. Like, we still have to deal with this here in
Yeah.
the United States. I'm always talking about how, it's the quiet part out loud. It's the fact that when a female runs for president, they are always scrutinized way more than a male. Like we see that right now with Nikki Haley. And then also like Kamala Harris, the first female vice president in American history. Like people will just attack her for stuff that is ridiculous. I mean, I don't like, why are you attacking her for all that?
Even like with as a woman with clothes, what I'm wearing, if someone who had a smaller cup size was wearing the exact same clothes, they would not get that sense, that same level of harassment. Because it's we women with like a little bit of a fuller chest, we get attacked for being sexually suggestive, even though we're wearing normal, modest clothes.
Well,
like there are women with less on the chest that show everything, like boobs out, everything, cleavage here and there. And I don't even want to do that because that draws even more attention to it. Like I just prefer it to be just like covered.
Yeah, but
that makes me feel good.
I guess my bigger point that I was trying to work towards is that it doesn't even matter. Like it's always about their appearance. Like no matter how you look, there'll always be something like men will critique, and especially YouTube.
It's not a man, so they justify the fact that they can critique us to death because it's never good enough in their minds.
I mean, people do talk about my appearance, like, oh, Mr. Beat, you have oily skin, and I was like, yes, I do, and you have small ears or a big nose or whatever. I get a lot of Jewish comments. So many people think I'm Jewish because I made an anti-Semitism video, but it's nothing compared to, I think, what you go through and all female creators on this platform. And I think part of it is because most of the viewers on YouTube still are male. And I think that's, we just need to get, I guess we just need to change the culture on this dang platform. That's what
we do.
Sorry to bring all that up.
No, that's fine. That's I've actually decided to just, I'm gonna abandon Twitter and only share my video link from February onward, because in February my account will be 10 years old. And on that anniversary, the decade on Twitter, I've decided to just abandon the platform. But I don't want my account to be deactivated, so it's just the video links. No responses. I'll just check my DMs for the people that I've been talking to, like the professors and everything that I've spoken to through Twitter, so that can at least remain. But I'm going to completely stop engaging with people on Twitter because the harassment the past few weeks have been extreme. And I'm just done. Yeah.
Well, good for you. I was going to actually.
I started Threads.
Yeah, Threads is way better. It's way more. It's less toxic there. Actually, Blue Sky is my favorite, but there's not enough people.
Yeah, I've also got the Blue Sky.
Oh, nice.
Yes, got them both. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I changed that.
We all are in a dilemma with Twitter because we have a following there and we have connections there that we don't want to give up. Because, and so I have been tempted to do the same thing, but I'm also like, well, but I would be abandoning a lot of people. I feel like.
I don't want to delete it because, hello, I've been on the platform nearly 10 years for a reason. On Twitter, I wasn't necessarily just work and no play. Twitter for me, because it predates my YouTube channel, is a lot more my personal thoughts and my life and sharing a little bit behind the scenes of who I am as a person. And I enjoyed that a lot, to be able to show people more of who I am. But it's getting to a point where I just don't feel safe on the platform to continue doing that. But I don't want to get rid of it. I built everything up from the ground on it. I just got more than 10,000 followers. I don't like having to get rid of it. It's just, just video links, and we'll see what the future holds. If Elon maybe one day just sells Twitter again and just makes it, and people make it back into Twitter the way it was when it was good. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's always sucked, but
It always has sucked in a way, for sure. Absolutely.
Because it brings out the
I
worst in
agree
us,
there.
you know?
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you. I got a super chat here. I'll just put that up here. Thank you, to Emone. Hello, Mr. Beat. I always love these live streams. You probably get this a lot, but enjoying your content has partly inspired me to pursue history and education in college. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you so much. That's why we do this. I mean, more than anything, to inspire folks
Yeah.
like yourself to learn. And yes, thank you. And we, I see Mrs. Beat in the chat. That's good because we have some trolls, so that's always so it's your turn though, Kayleigh. So
Yeah, it's my turn. So the second question was also channel related for you, but that's the why and when did you create the second channel and what made you decide to create that second channel?
oh, the music one. Yeah,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, I have a second channel called The Beat Goes On, where it's mostly music history.
Good plug.
Yeah, of course, have to always. That is my life. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I also do film history a little bit. It's just like I had the idea, like when my daughters were younger, and I was like, man, they just got to know about all this art, man, from the past. Kids these days, they got to learn about what the good art, because I grew up fairly uncultured, and I feel like when I took a film class, for example, in college, I felt like, how did I not know about all these great films? You know, like um, I remember watching One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in college, and I was like, this is a movie that, well, I was very sheltered for one thing, but I never would have watched it otherwise. I never would have got out of my bubble in terms of that. And then music as well, especially music. And so I was like, well, I'll make this for my daughters because they need to know I'll make a video about the Pixies because dadgummit, they need to know about the Pixies. And then at the same time, my students in real life, they didn't, oh, you don't know about the Pixies? Come on. And so I just turned it into a channel. And it's interesting because it's mostly just, I think, nostalgia driven because so many of the folks that watch the videos over there, it's just like they already know about all these bands and they just want to relive the history of them. And
Yeah.
so I don't know, but it's meant for younger folks, like because even the Beatles, you'd be surprised how many Gen Z you're considered a millennial, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Barely, maybe, I don't know.
I'm from 91, so
oh yeah, that's
like I don't.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Gen Z, a lot of the Gen Z folks, they still really like they've heard of the Beatles, yeah, but they don't really understand why we still make a big deal out of them today. So did I answer your question? Was that I forgot what your question was.
Yeah, the why and when you created your second channel. So yeah.
Oh, why? Yeah, and the first episode I did was Radiohead, which is my favorite band, and I did that. Was it 2017? And honestly, I still enjoy making those videos more than the videos on this channel.
Yeah,
but they don't
it's
do
a
it
passion
well.
project.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
yeah.
You have any other channels?
No, not yet.
No.
Maybe one day.
If you started a second channel, what would be the focus?
Well, when I decided on pursuing, well, that's not like pursuing YouTube seriously, but like I said, in the past, I created some cat videos, learned how to edit, learned how to film, because that was a journey already. It's not easy. And so I wanted to make a YouTube channel, and I was passionate about history, but I'm also very intrigued by like the true crime stuff. Mostly like I watch true crime a lot, and it's usually stuff from like the States, which is fun. But I was thinking about maybe doing a true crime channel with like European crime cases because they don't get aired as much and they're not very well known. So yeah.
Well,
maybe that. Maybe.
yeah. No, I love it. This will be a segue then to my next question. Is
nice.
You're from the
Netherlands? I'm on a roll.
Yeah. So being from the Netherlands, I was telling you before we went live that I just love your country. And ever since I researched it for a video, comparing it to Belgium, I was just like, man, I want to move there, or at least, stay there for a long time. But what are What are the biggest misconceptions about the Netherlands, in your opinion?
Ooh, globally misconceptions or like from the United States, because they're a bit different.
Both.
Okay, so we'll start with the States. People often think that I hate the United States because sometimes I say the name of the United States a little bit funny. That's because I've got a lot of friends in the United States and they all know me that I'm a very sarcastic Dutch person. And I love to make fun of the States as they love to make fun of my tiny country. So it's just a little bit of that I barely can say United States seriously. But often when people from the States find out that I'm Dutch, it's like, do you live in a windmill? Do you wear clogs?
Yeah.
No. Like windmills, people live in them, yes. People still live in them, but windmills have a function. So you would only live in them if being a miller was your job. And even then, people nowadays decide not to live in them because they can just build a house right next to it, which is much larger because living in a windmill is a very tiny, tiny space. Clogs, there are people that still wear them. My neighbor in my previous home wore them daily. The sound is weird when you hear someone walking in clogs, but it's not common anymore. Like it hasn't been common in about 50 years, I think. So misconception number 2. Misconception number 3, that weed is legal. It's not. Weed in the Netherlands, cannabis, it's not legal. It's accepted. So the coffee shops that sell the weed can sell it legally because it's accepted, but their produce, like getting the weed to them, that's all illegal. All the grow houses are illegal. So up until it's brought into the back door, it's completely illegal. So yeah, not a good thing from the Dutch government. I think we're losing a lot of money on that. And yeah, it's not growing weed. I can see people in the chat that are saying it's not illegal. Yeah, growing weed, more than 5 plants, is illegal. I've grown weed in the past myself for fun. I had 2 plants. I had a neighbor that wanted to call the cops because you can't have plants. The cops came and they were like, yeah, you only have 2. It's fine. Because it's just 2 plants. I know how much you can get from 2 plants. That's not enough for a day's stock in the coffee shop. That's maybe like an hour's worth of their produce that they're selling. Mm-hmm. So technically, it's illegal to grow it because you need a lot of it to give to the coffee shops to sell. So yeah. They don't necessarily lock you up, but they take your produce and they burn it. Like they get rid of it, they destroy it. So not fun. But that's definitely a misconception there. Another misconception is that the Netherlands is like Amsterdam. It's really not. Like, no, I'm from North Holland, the same province where Amsterdam is located.
Yeah.
I've been to Amsterdam in my entire life. I'm 32. I've been there 9 times. I only live about 40 minutes drive away from Amsterdam. I've been there 9 times. 8 times was mandatory with school. 1 time was because I decided to go there because my sister wrote a book and I decided to go to like the reveal of the book and the presentation of that, and so that she could write in the book that I was buying at the location. But yeah, I don't like Amsterdam. It smells like weed. It stinks like sweat. People aren't nice. Even the Dutch people that live there are stuck up and aren't really nice. So Amsterdam is not my thing. I prefer Haarlem, which is another city close to Amsterdam. It's about a 10-15 minute train ride, or Utrecht, another 15-20 minute train ride. Beautiful cities, beautiful canals, lovely people, good atmosphere. I suggest go places like that. And, fly into the Netherlands through Schiphol Airport, which is not in Amsterdam. It's near Amsterdam, but not in Amsterdam. And just take a train either north, east, west, or south, but don't go to Amsterdam. It's a waste of your money. It's a waste of your time. The country is beautiful. And we have so much to offer besides our capital. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Definitely misconception.
I didn't expect you to just totally trash Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. I've been very vocal about it, like on my channel and like in my personal life and even online. I do not like Amsterdam. It's too crowded. Like I had to drive there a couple months ago because of that book signing from my sister. It took me 40 minutes from the edge of the city to the dam square where I needed to be, which isn't even in like the center of it. 40 minutes. I stood like still in front of a traffic light that was on red for 10 minutes. Why? Why hurt me like this?
I mean, you're complaining about 40 minutes. To get from one end of Los Angeles to the other, it's like 2.5 hours. So,
but Los Angeles is big compared to Amsterdam. Amsterdam's like tiny.
Well, that's why
It's
Amsterdam,
super
like if I
tiny.
lived in Amsterdam, I wouldn't drive. I would totally walk or bike everywhere.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna take the train from where I live because then I have to like take the bike to the bus, then the bus to the train, then the train to another train, then that train to another train, then to Amsterdam, then a subway, and then walk to where I should be going. I'm already going insane thinking about that because I live rural in my country. Like I don't live near a city. Like all I got around me, I've got like this town where my boyfriend lives, where I'm going to live soon. We don't even have 500 inhabitants, and it's all paddocks around us. Wow. And it's like the big lake. So I'm surrounded by nature here. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
The thing I'm always fascinated the most about the Netherlands is the land reclamation, like the turning ocean to land. That's just blows my mind.
Oh, there's this fantastic video. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. If everything is okay, I'm not gone, but I have to like see if I can find this in my
you can share it.
Where do I do this? Yeah, like I want to share a link, like history, and then
if you go to the bottom where it says
watch this. Yeah, I watched this recently on the this is it. Share, copy the link. All right. Where were you again? Oh my God, I lost you. Ah, here you are. Nice. Okay, so I'll put it in the comments here, in the comments section, the chat.
Oh, okay. And while
so the
go ahead.
I can also put it in like the comments later.
Okay.
Yeah. So that video is about the Delta Works in South Holland, where we did a bit of the land reclamation, but mostly it's a safeguard to keep us from drowning.
Yeah. Don't want to drown.
We don't want to drown, so we built that after quite a big flood happened in '53, and it was like, do we keep drowning or do we try and remain dry-feeded? So yeah, good video. Nice explanation as well. Like I was enthralled by it, and that's why I share it. Yeah.
Sorry. What was the name of the video? I'm gonna show it briefly. Like if I search on YouTube.
How the Dutch realized this insane mega project by hindsight.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just I think I found it. Yeah. While I'm showing this, there's a question for you there. Why do you think some people are so passionate about people like Graham Norton and are so biased against academia?
I love the fact that he's saying Graham Norton and not Graham Hancock, because that's his real name. But I prefer Graham Norton.
Graham Norton is let's not get twisted. Graham Norton is the talk show host out of the UK. Graham Hancock is, I think, who you're talking about. Yeah.
But why people are so passionate about people like him and biased against academia. I think the reason for that is because people have this innate sense of we want to believe in something grand. We all have this. We all want to believe in the fairy tale. We all want to believe like vampires exists and werewolves exists and like aliens and all that stuff, because it's fun, it's exciting, it makes your heart pump faster, it's intriguing. So I understand why people are passionate. And the main issue that I have with people like Graham Hancock, I don't have anything against him personally, because I understand he just wants to make money, he wants to make a living. I respect that. But the issue I have is he is a journalist that poses himself as a man of knowledge and that he should be the one to be trusted, even though he has not studied these things. He doesn't have an academic background. He doesn't understand a lot of things that he's talking about, and he shares a lot of misinformation about it. So in his Netflix series that he did, his son is an executive producer at Netflix. So that's why he got the series, not because he's such a great grand man, but because his son worked there and pushed that idea to Netflix. People don't know that, but it's a thing. So in the very first episode, they talk about Gunung Padang, which is a volcanic rock formation in Indonesia. And on the top of it, people built structures. Many years later, like I think it's like 2,000, maybe 3,000 years ago that they started doing that. Maybe a little bit earlier, but like not much earlier. Neolithic period. Let's keep it at that. But there's a guy in Indonesia, Natawijaja, I think is his name. And he was in the show, and Graham asked him about that massive structure, because according to them, it's the oldest pyramid in the world, because that Natawijaja guy did some core drilling, and the core drilling came up with like deep inside that volcanic rock formation are like stones that are like 25,000 years old or something like that, or 12,000 years old, whatever. It's 20,000, something like that. Yeah, of course you can find that in a rock formation that developed around that time. That doesn't mean that it's man-made, that it's a man-made structure. Not at all, actually. That just shows when it was created by nature. So it's insane to me that people take that word from like that TV show, Netflix show, and now it's like, that's the oldest, and Graham Hancock is telling the truth, and all the academics are lying. He's constantly bashing archaeologists that have studied this, that have spent years of their lives studying archaeology and ancient things and trying to understand the scope of history. And he's just there, a journalist. He writes books. He writes fiction books.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even like good writing, but that's my personal opinion. But yeah, I think he poses himself as the one with the answers, the one with the truth. Meanwhile, he's lying to the masses. He's spreading misinformation, and he's making people distrust academics, even though the academics are the ones that are in the field. If Graham Hancock, and this is my thing, if Graham Hancock was as amazing as people say he is, why hasn't he funded an archaeological excavation at one of the sites that he's spoken about? Why is he not funding what he tries to show people as the truth? Like, fund an excavation, show people that what you're saying is the truth. Go ahead. Yes. He's rich enough to do it. Like, honestly, he's sold more than enough books. He can, like, for the next 40 years, he can fund excavations back to back, worldwide. I'm sure. Like, the man is loaded, and good for him. But why isn't he doing things like that? Why is he just bashing the academics, making them look bad, making himself look like a social pariah, even though he brought it to himself. And people usually don't attack him, the person, but they attack his work, which to me are two different things. I'm Kayleigh. I am not my work. My work is attached to me, but I am not my work. I am more than my work. I have more to offer than just my work, just like you. So he has that as well. I'm sure he can be a really nice man. If you meet him, I'm sure he's a great family man, all that stuff. Like, respect the grind, but I don't like the work. Yeah.
That was a great rant. I loved it.
Sorry.
No, I love that. We should clip that later.
Yeah, this is me being passionate.
That was really good. And I
became Dutch there for a second.
I think at the root of it is kind of what you were saying at the beginning. People believe what they want to believe, and it feels good to like be in the secret.
Like, listen, I want to believe in eternal life. I'm scared of death, like scared to death of death. So, I mean, if vampires existed and I could live forever, honey, sign me up.
Like, I don't want to live forever.
Yeah.
That terrifies me.
I do want to live forever. Like, then at least after like 1,000 years, I can say, okay, I've had enough, and then kill myself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, vampires can still do that. Like, stake to my heart, nah. But like, at least I lived 1,000 years.
I agree with that. But yeah, like also what you were saying about like his motives matters a lot. Like, follow the money. I really think that cliche phrase is true. Often, like, it's as simple as that. You know, these archaeologists, these experts in the field, they dedicate their lives to something very specific. When we say dedicate their lives, I mean, we're talking 20, 30, 40, 50 years of their life studying a very specific part of the world, a very specific era. Like, and like I
know of archaeologists that were at like digs while their partners were in labor. They weren't at the birth of their child because they were in the field.
Yeah.
And at that moment, there's a split decision of like, continue my work, or the excavation has to be halted because I need to leave.
Yeah.
And that's massive for them, because you don't want an entire excavation that has been funded, which isn't easy to get, and all the paperwork and everything, all the legality of it has to be arranged up front. Like, there's an excavation season for a reason, and it has to continue. Yeah. So if your partner is in labor, sometimes you can't leave because you're the one that's arranging everything. Things like that. It's a passion that they have for their work, and they're being attacked.
That's what it is.
Extremely.
Their passion for the for the truth, passion for the survival of the species, passion, and they're not doing it for the money. It's the point. Like, most of the most scientists in the world don't really make that much money. That's something we should bring up more. It's like the people that are multi-millionaires, like Graham Hancock. I mean, we're talking like he's probably worth tens of millions of dollars at least.
Probably.
And it's all a grift. It is all, and people fall for it because, like, oh, he says cool things. That makes me feel better about myself, so I'm going to believe him. Yeah. I used to be that way. And I hate to bring this up, but it's a religious way of thinking. Like, I don't know if you're religious or not, but I used to be very religious, and when I was younger, and that's how I viewed the world. Like, I felt like I had this special knowledge, and I was a part of this special group, and we had salvation coming to us, and not those other people. You know, like, it's crazy. I'm glad.
Yeah, my mom was a spiritual, floaty type, and my dad is like this extreme atheist.
Oh, really? Well, I wouldn't call.
Thankfully, they split when I was young, so I have no idea how their conversation were. Like, thank God, because I bet they didn't have fun. But yeah, they both grew up in like the Apostolic Society, which is like also slightly cult-like, not Christian, but they still talk about like God and Jesus and all that stuff, but in a weird way. It's weird. Yeah. So I understand why they both went to their extremes, even though they were opposites. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I know a lot of people just are terrified by just admitting that they don't know anything. But to me, it's
I'm
been very liberating.
agnostic.
Yeah, like, I think
Yeah,
most scientists too would say that oh, I don't really know much. Like most scientists would, they like science is not a belief. It's there whether you
yeah,
believe in it or not. Science is a process, and there is no end to it. There's no like
no,
truth at the end. It's always just trying to find the truth. And when you actually understand what science is, like when people are like, "Oh, yeah, we were told to believe the science, and look what that led us." Scientists are wrong all the time. Experts are wrong all the time,
yeah.
but they learn from their mistakes. And now I'm ranting. So that
No,
drives
it's
me nuts.
fine. They want to grow. They want to like progress, and that's science. You
Yeah.
make mistakes, and then you try again until you get it right,
They
and you
start with I don't
continue.
know.
If you keep failing, then you keep trying. You
Yeah.
keep going. Yeah.
Unlike everyone else who starts with I have all the answers. I know the truth, and then I'm going to find evidence to back up what I already
But it's
believe.
also like
What
when
they
you look
do.
at the most intelligent people on like the planet, when you look at like the scope of intelligence, people with low intelligence will think they know everything. And people with high
Oh yeah.
intelligence will
Dunning
think
Kruger.
they know nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, the older I get, I feel like an idiot every day. Like it's really bad.
Yep. Same.
Imposter
Yeah.
syndrome is real. But we better move along. I think it's your
Yeah.
turn.
I've got the third question for you. Yeah. So this wasn't history related or anything, but this is just I had to know this. Who's your favorite musician or band from the 90s? Since I'm a 90s baby, and I'd like to know which musician from my decade is your favorite.
Oh, I kind of answered it earlier, but I can give you a more thorough answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Radiohead is my favorite band. My second favorite band is Weezer, but Weezer has continued to make great music in recent years. But as far as like what I grew up with, because I'm 42 years old, so when I was in middle school and high school, that was the 90s, and so that was like the formative years of discovering music, and I think that was. I mean, I said earlier in college I discovered a lot of music, but really, the alternative staples of back in the mid 90s, radio was still good actually because giant corporations hadn't bought up all the local stations, and so there were good local
Yeah.
stations, and DJs actually got to play whatever they wanted, and they picked out. I mean, there were bands that never would get played in the mainstream today that were in the mainstream. That's why I thought it was such a cool time, especially like between 1993 and 1998, I think is like the golden age of that. Because you had like the grunge era that always gets all the attention, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, all those,
Yeah.
Soundgarden. But then after that was kind of like this wacky, basically like every band tried to out weird each other. And one of the examples of
Yeah.
that is there's this band called Primus that I really like. That Primus was they were like hard rock, but definitely part of the post grunge movement, but also like they were just doing weird things. And then there were bands that like there's another band called Cake that's one of my all-time favorite bands. You
Nice.
No other band sounds like them. They mix about 15 genres all together, and but really it's just they call it alternative rock, but it's really just like
Yeah.
a mix of a bunch of things. It doesn't fit into a category, so that's why they just kind of. It's the same thing with indie rock today. Although indie rock is like it's such a meaningless label because it's now basically just it's basically folk rock or dream pop is what indie
Yeah.
rock is today. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
the vocal that sounds like it was recorded in a bedroom. So, but yeah, what's your? I know you covered the song beep. I the song Bitch.
BITCH by
Yeah.
Meredith Brooks.
And so
Yeah.
that was that same era, actually, late 1990s.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
what do you think about that era of music? Do you have any?
I love it. It's it can be cursed. Yeah, it's a weird era of music. Because I'm in the Netherlands and I grew up here, we had like Two Unlimited and the Venga Boys, which was fun. That was like
Nice.
really dope. Not everyone in like the States know those
Yeah.
because I'm not sure if they got big over there. Like some of their music got somewhat big in the past few years. Like some of the things were used on like TikTok and Musically and apps like that. So at least it got some screen time. Um, but yeah, for me, it's just I remember there was a song that had like "fu" in it, and I was like about 5 or 6 in my mom's living room. She had like the radio playing, and that song came up, and I was just in the living room with like the hand gestures, "F you" and "F you," and I remember that so vividly. Don't know the song, haven't heard it since, but I mean, I remember that, and my mom just walked in and was like, "Can't be mad. It's on radio. She's just singing along. She's like 5. She has no idea what she's saying."
That was on the radio?
But I knew it was a bad word. Like I was aware of the fact that it was a bad word that I was saying, but it was on the radio. So like we were very liberal in the Netherlands in the 90s, way more than we currently are. People that were like gay were a lot more accepted in the 90s. Just like nudity in like movies and like on the street and everything. We weren't as prude as we are now.
Weird.
Yeah, we went backwards, I think, in that regard. We were the first to legalize gay marriage, but ever since we sort of went backwards, I feel. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here in the United States, I think
We are Americanizing, as that's how I try to explain it to other people. Like the Netherlands is Americanizing. And I don't necessarily think it's for the better because we used to be liberal and free and accepting. And it was just, we were like the Neverland, the fairy tale country where everything was perfect. And we aren't like that anymore. We haven't been like that in a long time. Yeah.
I think the root of a lot of it is the extreme wealth inequality that we see around the world is that those who do have all the assets, they like the status quo, or they even like to reverse some things. I mean, the United States, we've definitely become much more socially liberal or to the left in recent decades. I mean, younger people, I think I saw a poll the other day that said like 80 or maybe 85% of Gen Z are okay with same-sex marriage. That was unheard of in the 90s for me. Is it like I knew I had a couple friends that were probably homosexual in high school. They never came out of the closet. We had no one out of the closet in the late 90s because it was just so. And you mentioned the FU on the radio. Yeah, in the 90s. Well, I mean, still to this day, the FEC, or I'm sorry, FCC, not FCC, that's Federal Election Commission. FCC, Federal Communications Commission. They don't let you say bad words on the radio. That's like a famous Supreme Court case here where George Carlin's stuff got played on the radio, and the radio station got in big trouble. And to this day, radio stations can get fined lots of money in the United States. So I think that, in some ways, like the Netherlands probably is still more to the left of the United States than you think. It probably just seems, is it more economical? Because I know there's a lot of wealth inequality in the Netherlands, isn't there? Is it?
Yeah, there is. Like we used to have universal health care back in the 90s.
You don't anymore?
That was a thing here. We haven't for a very long time now.
Could you elaborate on that? Because I thought you still did technically.
So, well, we are obligated by law to have an insurance, and we pay that monthly. And then you have like this own risk thing. And at the end of the year, when you have like been to appointments like with specialists and all that stuff, then at the end of the year, that gets like tallied. And if it's above your own risk amount, and the rest they will pay, but own risk, you have to pay that yourself, which is like 360 euros. I think. But so not everyone has that kind of money at the end of the year. Then on top of that, like they took the dentist out of the standard insurance package. So you have to like pay extra if you want the dentist in your package and have that insured. Isn't fun, isn't easy. I pay like 60 euros a month to have a dentist package inserted. I pay about 200 euros a month to be insured. And even when I go to a hospital, I still get like a bill of like 200-300 euros because I went there and saw a specialist. It's not, we pay quite a bit compared to in the 90s when I broke like my wrist and I had to go to the hospital and get an x-ray, get like a cast. And then 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later, I had like 3 casts in total because it wasn't healing correctly. So we had to go back and back and back, more x-rays. My mom barely paid anything back then. It was like, yay, you pay like 45 bucks guldens back in the day for like universal healthcare for your entire family. You're good.
Wow.
You need like to go to the dentist, you're good. You need to like get a cast, you're good. You need glasses, you're good. And now it's not like that. Oh, the own risk is now a 385 because they keep pushing that up and up every year.
Wow.
Yeah, we had like the same prime minister for 13 years and the country went to, yeah. Yeah.
That is very American-like.
So it's
Although
not,
we pay a lot more than you do, I will
Yeah.
say. A lot more.
it's a lot more money that you pay, yeah. But
Uh,
we're getting there. So,
oh yeah.
Unfortunately.
Oh, wow. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what's sad is when I left teaching, I was like, originally I was like, oh, I really need to stay a teacher because of the benefits, because I have this great retirement package and I have great healthcare. But then I broke down the numbers and I realized it wasn't even that good. I was better just paying it directly in the marketplace. And that was like another light bulb moment for me when I left teaching a couple of years ago, or 3 years now. Yeah, that was 2021. So yeah, like it sucks. It's that's one of the things that I hate most about my country. I love my country in many ways, but it's sad that we haven't, like, there's a guy I didn't know him, but I just found out about it this morning. This guy in the town I live, he just died of cancer. He wasn't that much older than me. He was an acquaintance. Like, I saw him around town. I'd see him at music trivia and stuff. And I saw his band play live once. And yeah, he's like 50 years old, died of cancer. Just 2 months ago, there was a huge charity concert and all of the proceeds went to pay his medical bills. And before that, he had a GoFundMe. He had to raise $20,000 to pay for his medical bills. And that was apparently that didn't even cover all of it. So like the biggest.
That reminds me of my aunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
My aunt has multiple sclerosis. And many years ago, she could go to Mexico for like blood transfusions and all that stuff. And she needed 80,000 euros. So they collected that through like selling things, and people in the town provided like ways to make money for her to give to her so she could get that procedure done. And then a couple of years later, because that one didn't like have the effect that we were hoping for. So right before, I think it was 2019, they had to like bring up a lot of charity stuff for like her to another 80,000 euros to get like a treatment in Russia. So thankfully people were kind enough to like donate and like set up the charity stuff. But yeah, that's similar, nearly the same. Unfortunately, yeah.
Wow.
We don't get help. Like that's the problem with it being like Americanized, I think.
Yeah, because
it's a shame. Like, we were a beautiful country and we were arranged very well.
I know that we live in a global economy now. And so when we talk about corporations, it's not just, even if they are American corporations, they are they're often operating in a world marketplace, and like especially the pharmaceutical industry and the medical technology. You know,
Yeah.
it does cost money for research and development, but at the same time, they get a lot of money, and they also get taxpayer money, which I get frustrated with. Here in the United States, we subsidize the medical industry. We also subsidize the pharmaceutical industry, and it's like,
Oh, we're subsidizing like the oil industry.
oh, that's too. Oh, yeah.
Like that's what our prime minister did. Like he said that he was going to raise like their taxes, big companies, and then like right before he was supposed to do it, he was like, "No, I'm not going to do it." And then people asked him about it, and he was like, "I can't remember." That was his thing. Like he did that for like 13 years. Like there's a reason why we pay a lot of money for like monthly insurance, even though it used to not be like that before he became prime minister.
Wow.
So yeah.
Bummer.
I
Major
understand
bummer.
why people voted quite far right in the last election here, because they want change.
Yes.
And they hope that that can change it.
You're seeing the
Yeah.
same thing across Europe. It's like, it's not really people like, oh, they're fascists. I'm like, well, it's not so much that. It's just that they're desperate.
We need change.
They need, you need dramatic change. And when the establishment, which even if the establishment is left leaning, it doesn't matter. They're still the establishment. They are still way too cozy with big business. That's the root of it. The cozy, the you know, big government, big business, all on the same team. I keep trying to tell everyone this. I made a whole video about this. It's the same thing across Europe as well. Not as bad, but at least like in, you know, Germany, for example, has a good system in place to protect. I mean, workers have a lot more rights there. The union membership is a lot higher. There's governments are kind of, local governments in Germany, I know, have to like kind of bend the knee to unions a little bit. And here in the United States, it's interesting. Union membership rose last year more than it had at any point. I think going back all the way to like the 60s or something, like before I was born. So we are living in I think a transformative time, not just, I mean, across the world. It's it's scary though. It is scary because like,
it's time for change.
Well, and you know, fascism could, you know, I can see people fall for fascists all the time because they are, again, they're desperate, and when, you know, they're just looking to survive.
And they're usually the most vocal about everything.
Yeah, and demagogues.
And that's why they get the people like supporting them, because they're the ones being extremely vocal about everything and all that's wrong. And people are like, yeah, I'm done with this BS. We need change. And oh, he's screaming the loudest.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
They're always really good at pointing out problems, but they never have solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll move on here. We're kind of, we need to be more positive. So let's let's see here. More uplifting. Oh yeah, how about this one? No, that's not that positive. Actually, that could be. A lot of these actually could be cynical.
Well, you also have to do like the tick for like it's going to be the fourth question. Otherwise,
yes, it is the fourth. Yes,
forget about that.
Okay. I guess I'll ask it anyway. Why are humans so special? Or why do we think we're so special as human beings? You know?
Okay, wow, that's a good question. So why do humans think that they are special? I think it has to do with the fact that we have this conscience. We are aware of ourselves. We are aware of what we do. More so than like animals around us. Animals are aware of their place in the world. They are aware of how they navigate their place in the world. But they're not aware of how they speak to another person, or what like a ripple effect that they can create. Me typing to my boyfriend last year sorry, almost 2 years ago now, me making the decision to type to him led to me now living with him. Completely changed both of our lives. That was a ripple effect that I created by making one decision. Animals don't necessarily have that conscious mind of me, an animal deciding, like a lion deciding to like go for that specific antelope. The lion has no idea what kind of effect that's going to have on the other antelopes, or like the baby antelope of that antelope he just killed. Like, doesn't matter. That's food. So I think that's why we see ourselves as special, because we are aware of ourselves. We are aware of the fact that we have the ability to change this planet, and we have been changing this planet ever since we came into fruition. So I look at it like this. The Stone Age, people think like the Stone Age happened a couple thousand years ago. No. The Stone Age started 3.3 million years ago. The Stone Age predates humans and pre-humans.
Yeah.
The oldest pre-human that created stones 3.3 million years ago were Australopithecines.
Right.
They are like our group, way back to the family tree, they are one of our ancestors. But they were still very ape-like. So ape-like creatures created stone tools that were developed over time by other pre-human species that continued to evolve and develop until we had Neanderthals, which is like our cousin, which were human. People saying like they weren't human. They were a human species, full-on human, very similar to us, nearly the same, just that their DNA was slightly different. We had a common ancestor, and that's why we were able to interbreed with them. That's why many of us carry Neanderthal DNA within our genomes. Why are we special? Because our evolution led to our intelligence and our brains developing like this. We can fantasize. I'm not sure if animals are able to like fantasize in the way that we can. I don't think my cat is sleeping and dreaming about vampires and werewolves. I can
we can see what doesn't exist. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's more like that. That's why we feel special.
Yeah. It's so weird to think about how, I mean, we always talk about critically thinking as like this, and this something that makes us different from other what we call intelligent animals like dolphins or or crows even, or like chimpanzees, other primates. And then somebody in the chat mentioned opposable thumbs, but I mean, I think that's part of it. But yeah, you mentioned that the Stone Age beginning millions of years before Homo sapiens existed. That is, I always, I don't think about these things. So that's a mind-blowing fact, actually.
I covered it in a video because I did this playlist of like ancient inventions. So like the oldest form of air conditioning, like the oldest freezer, and so also the ancient invention of stone tools. And I knew it was like more than 2 million years old. Like I knew that. I knew it predated Homo erectus, but I wasn't sure if that was Homo habilis. But then I like actually looked into it, and then I figured out it was like 3.3 million years ago, and I was blown away as well. Like I did not expect that answer. So yeah, I got that video on my channel if you want to watch it.
I think the
evolution of stone tools.
That might have been the first one I saw of yours, actually, a while ago. Yeah, like and a lot of folks don't realize. I think this is something we said before we went live as well. Kayleigh started her channel at the beginning of the pandemic, basically, and so I've been doing this since 2011. She's been doing. I mean, your channel has exploded in popularity. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think I came across. Actually, maybe you joined our history Slack group that we had or something, but I think that was the first video I watched of yours. Was that one of your first big videos? The air conditioning one?
Yeah, the air conditioning was the first and kind of only video that kind of went viral for me. Yeah,
Oh.
that was late August 2021 when I uploaded it. Bit of a weird time for me when I uploaded that because I think the day before or the day after I got news that my grandma was in the hospital.
Yeah.
So, and she was in the hospital for about nearly 3 weeks, maybe even longer than that. And I wasn't able to go to her because miscommunication in the family. But she kept messaging me when I shared like a new thing, like that these amount of views or like these amount of subscribers that I gained. I used to share that on my Facebook and in the chat on like Messenger. She sent me like how proud she was of me while
Oh.
the video went viral, and then the video stopped going viral and the next day she passed. So it was very double sorted. Yeah. Happiest time of my life, including the worst time of my life, because my grandma was like a mom to me. Yeah.
Sounds like a wonderful
Very difficult.
person.
Yeah. She was special.
My grandpa, before he passed, this was several years ago, but he was so supportive of me. I'll never forget that. Like, and then certain relatives too, like, like, and friends. You remember, like, because even if they don't really get, enjoy what you create, but they still support you and they encourage you, and they're just like, you remember that. And I have a big family. I have a big extended family, and the vast majority of my family maybe has never watched one of my videos, maybe has never listened to one of my songs. So
I think my in-laws have watched more than my own family.
It's weird. It's a weird thing. Not saying that my videos are any good or my music especially is horrendous, but anyway, great answer on the human thing, but you put it really well, because I think about these things. I just think, what makes us any different than any other animal? Is because we were able to. There's a few key differences, but then at the same time, like, at what cost? In terms of the entire planet, like, because also, I just broke my pen. It's I'm biased. I'm always biased towards the survival of our own species, but at the same time, I think a lot of times we're shooting ourselves in the feet, because we're destroying everything around us, which actually is the reason why we exist in the first place. Not to get all philosophical,
but it's like that for sure.
All right, it's your turn.
My turn.
Yes.
So, who's your favorite historical figure and why?
I'm biased towards American history.
We know.
Yeah, I mean, so I always say Martin Luther King Jr. Just because. I say Gandhi too, but he kind of had creepy vibes about him with like his personal life.
Yeah.
So I'll just focus on Martin Luther King Jr., but mostly because of his way of protesting and reaching people was so effective and inspirational, because he was able to change a lot of minds with what he did. And he had, I think, more of a positive effect on my country than any other historical figure, other than maybe George Washington. But George Washington owned slaves, so there's that. Even though he's still my favorite president. But yeah, and people will counter, well, Martin Luther King Jr. was a womanizer and blah blah blah. Nobody is perfect. I think this is why it's like bad to glorify any human being. But in terms of like the positive qualities, I think you mentioned the ripple effect earlier. He had a huge ripple effect in a positive way. Without him existing, I think our country would be we think about how, we're living in such horrible times. Think about how much worse it would be without him existing, I think is important.
He kind of brought the country together, I think.
He did. He united
He connected everyone. He was able to like show everyone we're not that different. We're very similar, all of us, even on a global scale. all of us are very similar. We bleed the same blood, we breathe the same air, we all have similar human experiences on this planet. We're not that different. Just because you grew up in like a different country with like a different innate culture, that doesn't make you different from me.
Yeah.
It's weird to think like that, because when we look at like the past, yes, people fought each other for like land, but that wasn't because they kind of hated each other because of their differences of culture. That was more like, I need this land because on this land are animals that I need to survive. So therefore, I don't want you eating my animals, because if you do that, there's not enough for me left. That's why they fought. It wasn't because they had a different skin color or they were born in a different place.
Or
Doesn't make
religious
any sense.
differences. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
almost
doesn't make
always with
any sense.
resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Russia invading
Unfortunately.
Ukraine, people don't like to bring this point up either, but I mean, we think that we're so evolved as a species. Like, we've moved beyond 20th century war. Well, we have mostly, but not. I mean,
Yeah.
especially smaller wars that we kind of pretend aren't existing. Like, there's wars going on across the Middle East and Africa that most in the Western world don't even pay attention to. Many don't even know are happening right now. Actually, that's one of my upcoming
Yeah.
videos, is every single war that's going on right now.
Oh, wow.
There's a few.
That's going to be one heck of a video.
Yeah, but at the same time, people get jaded, and I understand, like, you don't want to. That's why I also understand the appeal of escapism, fantasy, because you want to stay positive. You want to think about the future in a way that's not so doomer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the world is quite doomer. But yeah.
It is. Yeah. That's one.
Gotta make the most of it, you know?
Yeah.
Be positive. We're all doomed. We're just all doomed together. Be positive.
Let's see here.
Fifth question. Oh, we're almost halfway, Matt.
Yes, I know.
Doing good.
Longer than I thought, actually.
I said up front, like, I calculated like 3 hours for this. I think I was kind of right.
Yeah, that's because both of us were getting passionate. We both got really passionate about what we've been talking about. Yep. That's all right. Which famous buildings will be around in 5,000 years? Doesn't have to be. I didn't say what country. Just whatever comes to pops in your head.
So all the Taştepeler sites in Turkey, the Karahan Tepe, Göbekli Tepe, all of them, just gonna be easy like that. They don't erode as much. Plus, we build a canopy over them for like the acidic rain and all that BS. So they're protected for now, which will at least help them not erode as fast for a while. So I think they're gonna remain. The pyramids in Egypt, for sure. It's not an area that has earthquakes. The ground is very stable in Egypt. The biggest like fault line for like earthquakes are near Crete, or used to be near Crete, but I think they're still there. But yeah, long time ago, there was an earthquake very bad in Crete, and that had a ripple effect, and some of the pyramids got damaged a little bit. But I mean, that was a really bad earthquake. And there was an earthquake quite close to Saqqara, where the step pyramid of Djoser is. That was damaged during that earthquake. I think that happened in like 2011-ish, around that time. And then they made sure that they closed off the pyramid for people, and they reconstructed it, renovated it, and it went open back in 2020, the year I started making my videos, because that was one of the videos I made just after it was opened. I'm blonde. But yeah, I think the step pyramid, not necessarily if that's still going to be like in its pristine condition that it currently is, but yeah, at least the remains of it, like the majority of it, will still stand. Great Pyramids of Giza, for sure. Like, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I'm positive that they will still be there. Pyramid shape, best shape to build with. It's the reason why there are so many pyramid shapes all over the world by ancient people. If you see a child building with blocks, what do? They make pyramid shapes. I don't need ancient aliens or Graham Hancock, ancient civilizations, all that stuff. No, it's just very simple. You want to build something that lasts, build a pyramid or a mound, because burial mounds are the same kind of idea, like build big in the bottom and work your way up. Ziggurats, burial mounds, passage tombs, all that stuff, pyramids, all the same kind of idea of building.
So like the
that's also why
mounds here in North America.
Yeah, it's like the reason they did it like that is that way it's going to last. Very simple. And pyramids all over the world aren't the same. Like they are vastly different. You can see these like beautiful memes everywhere from like the people from the alternative side that are like, pyramids all over the world. The global people from back then must have been connected because they're all the same. They're not the same, not even in the slightest. The pyramids in South America are vastly different than the pyramids in ancient Egypt. And even the pyramids in ancient Egypt, like the ones that are currently still in the country of Egypt, are vastly different from the pyramids in Sudan. Sudan has more pyramids than Egypt. I think they have like 200 of them in total. And they're like very small, pointy, slim pyramid shapes. And then there's like a tomb. Like there's an opening, an entrance that's always rectangular, and then you have like this massive point straight up to the sky. Pyramids in Egypt are more like this. They're very wide, not like super small and super tiny and just went straight up. They all did it in their own way because you all look at it from a different perspective. You still have the same building blocks like a kid does, but every kid makes a different pyramid with the same blocks even. Some kids use like 5 blocks to make the base. Others use 6 or 3 or 4. You know, that will eventually affect the shape of your pyramid as well. Is it a step pyramid? Like, will it have like these steps up, or is it like one straight line? Those are massive differences in the way your pyramid's gonna look. But I do think pyramids like that, and like the temples, or at least the structures of like the Tastepeller sites, the Göbekli Tepe, Karahan Tepe, especially Göbekli Tepe. I mean, that has survived since it was created 11,900 years ago.
Yeah,
that's gonna remain for sure. It's gonna erode completely, like very much, and it won't look the same as it does now. But the essence of that structure will remain.
What about North America? What about like
all right,
I feel like the vast majority of
North America. So North America, in the United States of America, I don't think much will remain in 5,000 years.
Sculptures, concrete, like the Statue of Liberty will be here.
Yeah, like things that were created from stone.
Right.
Stone sculptures, they will remain. They will erode for sure, because everything will eventually erode. But yeah, things like that will remain. Is that statue of Lincoln also like made out of marble? Was it?
Yeah, and Washington D.C. most of those monuments are.
Yeah. So the marble statues, there will at least be things left of them to be recognizable a bit, I think. It depends on what kind of erosion will occur. Like, are we going to have a nuclear war with extreme acid rains and all that stuff? I'm not sure what's going to be left. Sorry. But I mean, if we continue the path that we're currently going on, I think that will remain. Mount Rushmore definitely will remain. Probably erode as well a bit.
Yeah.
That happens with stone. Stone will erode, for the people that may not know. Even the hardest types of stone eventually will erode. Nothing remains perfect on this planet. Simple. But yeah, but like your skyscrapers and all your steel and your concrete and asphalt, in 5,000 years, it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Mostly. Like mostly, if not completely.
That's
Because
crazy.
nature will reclaim if it can.
Yeah.
So if nature has the possibility to reclaim, it's gonna reclaim. And steel will erode and just give in. Concrete, plants, like I've seen trees just grow right through concrete. So I
Yeah.
mean, no, your concrete's and it's not Roman concrete that we're currently using. It's our modern concrete, which isn't as strong as Roman concrete, because that was vastly different. That's the reason why things from the Roman era that were built with concrete are still standing, because Roman concrete was much stronger.
So the Bass
yeah.
Pro Shop Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee will be around in 5,000 years is what you're saying. I got to show you this because you probably don't know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, show me. Show me.
Do you know what Bass Pro Shop is?
No. Oh yeah, wait. That's that. Yeah. The pyramid shape in Las Vegas, like on the strip or something, like near the strip.
Oh, that's a different one. But
okay. I'm sorry.
This is well, we were in Memphis last year, and this is what it looks like. It used to be an arena where they had sporting events, and then that kind of was a bust, and so Bass Pro Shops built it. Bass Pro Shops. This is what it looks like inside. It's like just a massive sporting goods store, but also not sport, but like hunting, fishing, outdoors, outdoorsman stuff, for lack of a better word.
This is so American.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we
but
went there.
yeah, honestly, that's not going to be there in 5,000 years.
Yeah. But you said
not even in the slightest. No, because it's not made of stone completely.
Right.
The reason like the Great Pyramid is going to survive is it's because not only the outer casing is in stone, but like the entirety of it is in stone.
Too bad. So sad.
Too bad. I'm so sorry.
Save the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid. I'll start like an organization to preserve.
Yeah. Maybe you can pray to like Anubis or Osiris. Like, please, Osiris, save our Memphis Bass Pro Pyramid Shop. Maybe he'll listen.
All right, I think it's your turn.
That's nice. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start a history channel here on YouTube?
Oh, I love that question. Yeah, I would say it's intimidating these days because there are so many history channels.
Yeah.
And so my first advice is you should start it anyway. If you're passionate about it, if you love history, if you love sharing, more importantly, if you love sharing stories from history to people, that's an indication you should start the channel. And if you're willing to do it, like grinding it out for years and, not expect many viewers, then do it. Because for several years, I didn't have many viewers. I think I had 300 subscribers in 2016. And then I got so excited when I crossed 1,000 in 2017. And then, it's all relative. But I remember back then though, I was like, oh, this video did so well because a few hundred people watched it. But I think if you want to actually have more than a few hundred people watch your videos, I would say you need to work on your writing and your storytelling, because at the heart of every successful YouTube video, whether it be not just YouTube video, even a song, or a film or a TV show, any kind of medium, even like a painting or sculpture, it has to tell a good story and it has to inspire someone, but that story has to be inspirational. And that's usually what, like, it has to tap into emotions. And so telling a good story looks differently depending on style. But my style, I found that kind of works is I enter myself into the story a lot. Like this last video I released about systemic racism, I'm like, well, here's my story inserted into the greater story of how people of color have been systemically discriminated against for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
And
you make it personal.
yeah, because
You
I like
show
that's
that.
how
You
I
share
learned about
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I mean a lot of history tubers, as we call ourselves, they don't do that. They there's even like AI channels now. Have you seen all the AI channels popping up? Yeah,
Yep.
they are disturbing because they're creepy too. And
Yeah.
but a lot of them get
It's
clicks.
super creepy because it's written by like Chat GPT, and then you have like an AI voice that just tells it, and it's very uncanny valley in a YouTube video. Like, I
Totally.
don't see a person. Like, it's not the uncanny valley because I recognize that what I'm seeing is not a person, but I'm recognizing what I'm hearing is not a person, and what they're saying did not come from a person brain. So it's still uncanny valley a little bit to me. It's like, it creeps me out.
Yeah. So making it like not being afraid to show the viewer your human side, like because then they're gonna relate to it, and that also just means like accepting who you are, and you do. And I think that's why your videos are so successful, because you can tell this is just who you are. Like you're passionate about this stuff.
Yeah.
You love telling people about this stuff, and so it works. Like if I wasn't passionate about any of this stuff, there's no way I'd be doing it.
My boyfriend, like he and I messaged for 3 months because he was in the Caribbean for work. He's in the Navy. And back then he was still on the ship. We had not met yet. So we messaged through WhatsApp, and we called like maybe 2-3 times in 3 months. But yeah, we had a connection. We liked each other. So we were like, we're going to message. We'll see where this goes. And he told people on the ship about me and the fact that we're talking. And so some of them started playing some of my videos because, like I said, he told them about me. So the very first time he saw me was in one of my videos, speaking English. Fun, because this is not my language.
Yeah.
And then after 3 months, we met for the first time in real life. He came to my house. I opened the door, and within 10 minutes, he just looked at me and he was like, I thought that your videos was like extroverted version of you. You just turned on like, this is me, instead of like a chill, very relaxed, vibey person. And I'm like, yeah, no, this is me.
Yeah.
This is just who I am. This is something I cannot turn this off. Wish I could. But yeah. And then he met like my oldest sister after a while, and he was like, so if you're you, then she's like a caricature version of you in like the way she speaks and how her face moves and all the expressions, because I'm already quite, I have lots of expressions when I talk, and I'm very much, I move with my hands. And then he saw my oldest sister and he was like, she's that times 10. And then he met my other sister who's that like times 20. And then he met my mom who's that times 30. And he's like, you're the chill one. I thought you were going to be the person that talked too much. No, I'm the chill one.
Yeah.
So, but he saw immediately like me in my videos. That's me in real life. I just speak a different language. That's the main difference. I don't speak English in my normal day-to-day life, only when I'm working or when I'm like in a voice chat with someone who's English.
Wow. Well, thank you for speaking English today, because I would not be able to understand you speaking Dutch.
Graag gedaan. Welcome. That was your welcome in Dutch. I didn't swear. I didn't use a swear word.
Yeah, no. And the other weird thing is your boyfriend got to know you before you got to know him, because of that's how parasocial relationships work, because he didn't have any videos of him
online. At least he still liked me. At least he still liked me after seeing my YouTube videos.
Oh, definitely. Like at that point, I think it was more about like, oh, do I like him? Because you weren't watching his YouTube videos, but you were already.
No.
That's a weird thing, right? Because it's not symmetrical. I made a whole video about that as well. Parasocial relationships are so weird.
They're weird.
Yeah, but it helps me too. I mean, when I do these episodes, it really does help, because I feel like I knew you already because I've seen several of your videos, and so you've seen
Well,
mine
that's
before.
the thing for me,
Yeah.
because I saw some of your stuff back when I joined the Slack group. I watched some of your stuff, and I made a deal with myself that I will not watch history on YouTube as much as I can, because I'm afraid that watching other people making videos on history will somehow affect me.
Yeah.
Change the way I do it, change the way I my perceptions, my creativity, my process, my all of that. So when I started making videos, I wasn't looking at what other people were doing, not even like their subjects, not at all. And there were times where I uploaded a video a day before or after someone doing a video on the same subject. That happens. And
Yeah.
people sometimes, got mad at me for like copying them. And I'm like, I've never watched your stuff. I know of you. I understand that people make stuff. I just don't watch other history tubers in general.
Yeah.
When I do a collaboration in the weeks prior, I will not watch anything they have made. Not at all. We knew that we were going to do this for a while. So at that point, I knew I can't watch any of this stuff anymore because I don't want that to influence me in any way, shape, or form. If I want to be me and have this experience, like for me, in a sense of this is new, then I can't have watched you too much because that will influence me and the way I respond or start a conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm very weird like this, I think.
Yeah.
The moment I know that I'm going to collaborate with someone, doesn't matter what we do, I will just stop watching your stuff for a while. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. That works for you.
I can watch it again from tomorrow onwards.
Well, thanks for watching. Honestly, I've had a couple of people on this podcast that it was definitely a parasocial situation where I watched them a lot and they probably didn't watch me at all or maybe a little. And it doesn't. My only concern is that the conversation is awkward, because like it's one-sided.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, I was like, well, that's kind of silly though, because most interviews are kind of one-sided anyway. You have like somebody, a journalist who's just, most people, celebrities, for lack of a better word, influencers, they don't know the people that's interviewing them, for whatever outlet. So
I like this comment from just some dude, like Mr. Beat, looking like, what the hell? She didn't even watch, like, or subscribe. I was subscribed to you for a long time, and then YouTube had unsubscribed me from your channel like last week.
How
because I knew 2 weeks ago that I was still subscribed. I checked. And then last week, it must have like unsubscribed me because yesterday, I think, we were like emailing, or I was emailing with Shannon, and I went to your channel and I was like, I need to subscribe? What? I was subscribed for like years.
I will say, like, also to your point, though, I don't like to watch content that covers the exact same stuff as me.
Yeah.
Because, like, you don't want to, like, be too influenced by them. And so, a lot of the history stuff I watch is archaeology. Like, and it's funny because I also watched Stefan Milo. I had him on here. I watched David Miano as well. And you guys all cover the same stuff. Like, you all did debunking of Graham Hancock. And you all said similar things, but I can kind of tell that you all don't watch each other either because the way that you put it is totally different. Yeah, because I watched all that Graham Hancock stuff because I used to actually, full disclosure, when I used to listen to Joe Rogan all the time, I like kind of drank some of that Graham Hancock Kool-Aid years ago.
I'm guilty as charged as well. When I was young, I used to watch like Ancient Aliens. Oh wait, I have to bring my camera back down. This is like that the camera's fun, but it can like track me, and it decided to track me, and I don't want
your hands.
to track me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll turn that off. Oh no, it really wants to. No tracking. I said, stop. Okay, it's back to normal. Hi.
Whoa, that's fancy.
How are you doing? That's fancy. I'm in my sweatpants. Like, I'm never in sweatpants when I film, but like I said, I've been I had the COVID, which was not fun.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, Jay Foreman had COVID when he was on the last episode. While you're figuring that out, I'll thank you, Guildsman Pirate, for the. This is the fellow who always is like vote Pirate Party. It's a political party here in the United States, a third party. Says thank you for this series and introducing us to content creators like Kayleigh. Keep up the great work you do. Here's to one day not needing sponsors. I truly appreciate that. Yes, because honestly,
One day.
Yeah, one day I hope. But yeah, I think it's my turn.
We were talking about the Kool-Aid of like the Graham Hancock.
Oh, Graham
stuff.
Hancock.
I fell for that as well.
Yeah.
I also watched Ancient Aliens when I was young, and it was amazing, and I loved it. And then I did my own research, and I found out, oh, hey, it's BS. Simple as that.
That's related to my next question. So great segue once again.
Nice.
Yes.
I'm doing work here.
It is my turn, right?
Yeah, I think so. We had the fifth. Yeah, we had the fifth. I did the fifth.
Okay.
On to six.
So yeah, my question is, why do people? And this is we kind of already answered this, to be honest. So it's a little redundant, but why do people want there to be ancient civilizations? Because that's what it is.
Very simple. Because that would explain the mystery to them. The mystery of why Homo sapiens emerged 300,000 years ago in Jebel Irhoud in Morocco, because that's the oldest fossil that we currently know of like a Homo sapiens, like our species.
Yeah.
But 300,000 years until Uruk, 6,000 years ago. Let me check this. I think it was 4,000 BCE when writing was invented. Let me check.
I have no idea. Off the top of my head,
Scroll back through my channel a little bit, because I have this on my channel, I think.
Jason says Ancient Aliens is a fantastic show, the golden age of mockumentaries. I mean,
exactly.
Watch it like for the jokes, or to make fun of them. Hate watch.
Oh yeah. Invention of writing, the earliest symbols are like 3,400 BCE. So that's 5,400 years old-ish. So from 300,000 years to like not even 5,000, 6,000 years ago, there was no writing. So, which means that there was no civilization. Civilization is a definition. The definition of civilization is very important. I made a short of this. People apparently didn't watch it because people still don't understand. People think that all cultures were civilizations, that the people who built Göbekli Tepe 11,900 years ago, that was a civilization. It wasn't. They were hunter-gatherers. That was a culture. You need things like writing and law and like a surplus of agriculture so that you can feed a city, which is the start of a civilization. We didn't have that until like Uruk and Ur in Sumeria, ancient Sumeria, between like in the Green Valley, Garden of Eden, the perfect place for civilization to emerge. And then you had ancient Egypt that created their own writing system, and a civilization was created and like began there and evolved. But those are the two first civilizations in existence. There is no evidence for a civilization predating them. There's no writing older than that. And you need writing for a civilization, for it to fall in the definition of a civilization. That doesn't mean that these cultures that created Göbekli Tepe and other things weren't sophisticated, weren't creating things, weren't living in a surplus of natural resources that sustained them. So that's why they were able to like spend time building things. But between 300,000 years ago and like Göbekli Tepe 11,900 years ago, we have 289,000 years of people trying to survive.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Barely
It
getting
wasn't
by.
easy. This world was rough, and there were many ice ages. And I mean, this planet really tried to get rid of us way before we got where we currently are. So all the earthquakes and all the volcanic eruptions that are currently going on, and the tsunamis and all that stuff, this is peanuts compared to what our species had to endure and get to where we currently are. They were surviving. And there wasn't much that they were able to do besides procreating, surviving. Get food, get water, procreate, get shelter, and repeat.
Wasn't there
I
a
mean, if
period?
that's
Wasn't there a period that was like where we almost did go extinct, where there was just a few
yeah,
hundred or
there's a
thousand?
bottleneck effect, event, bottleneck event, and I made a video on this because all of us humans alive today are
Oh,
descended from 3 hunter-gatherer populations in Africa 50,000 years ago.
here it is. Toba catastrophe theory. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh,
Is that
that's another one. Yeah,
that's a different one?
this is
Okay.
another one. Yeah, I mean, there were like 2 shortly after each other.
So
I mean,
about
in like
74,000 years
20,000
ago.
years.
Oh, so there's another one. What's the other one?
I don't know what the onset was of the other one, but I know that 50,000 years ago, there were 3 populations, like 3 cultures of hunter-gatherers in Africa. And all of the people living today on this planet are descended from those 3 populations.
Wow.
That's mind-blowing. Like, we nearly went extinct, I think, around 50,000 years ago, because why else would all of us be related to those 3 populations? And this doesn't mean that everywhere else in the world people went extinct and only these 3 populations lived. No, that's not at all what that means. We had Aboriginals in Australia that were already on the Australian continent, but the descendants from these 3 populations also made their way to Australia and interbred with the Aboriginals who were already living there, and therefore all the people that came after that are also descendant from the same 3 populations in Africa. Because that's how evolution and all this stuff works.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like those were the only people alive still, but it does mean that everyone else alive at anywhere else in the world eventually had interbred with their descendants, which is why all of us have their DNA in our genomes. Yeah.
Pretty cool. I mean, pretty scary.
If that's
but yeah.
like, if I made that like as clear and concise as possible.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. It's a rough thing to like, it's not something that's easy to explain. Like the video I made about that was like 18 minutes, nearly 19 minutes long.
Mm.
And that's me trying to explain that as quick as possible. So this butchered it, but I couldn't do it any faster.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's disputed. They don't know. It's a theory, and I know that we don't really have a whole lot of evidence for that. But I mean, it's plausible for certain. I mean,
well, this bottleneck event 50,000 years ago, that's been proven beyond a doubt.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As far as what caused the bottleneck, or
yeah,
I'm sorry,
exactly.
bottlenecks plural, because we know that this has happened multiple times. And you know, they always say, well, it's a super volcano or something like that. I always think about, you know, there's a super volcano that will erupt in North America. Yeah, Yellowstone National Park. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen in 1,000 years. But we could see a similar situation, and you know, people say, "Oh, that's the end of the species." Like, no, I don't think so. I think there's ways to survive it, but it will suck. It will be definitely
a bottleneck event. Yeah, for sure.
So
at least
learning about it is important. We don't want to be doomsdayers, but being aware. I mean, same thing with an asteroid. Depending on how large the asteroid is, it could be an extinction.
If it's another like Chicxulub asteroid,
right?
Honestly, we're kind of screwed.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's like that massive, we're kind of screwed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister was the one that found out that the Chicxulub asteroid hit in Boreal Spring 65 million years ago or 66 million
She
years
was
ago.
the one who found it out?
That was my
Holy,
sister with pink hair, and I
that's awesome.
interviewed her on my channel. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. So, and she's
She's
the one who
getting a
wrote the
bit
book?
famous.
She's famous?
Yeah, she's
What's her
the
name?
she's getting a bit famous in the Netherlands. Melanie During. Yeah.
Shoot,
She's
I
got
gotta
pink
learn that.
hair, paleontologist, master's degree, working on her second or third PhD. Like, she's doing
Wow.
good. I'm very proud. But I didn't
Yeah.
start my channel because of her. It's not related to her in any way. We have our own passion projects, I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I was hoping to
I was
find a.
interviewed yesterday by like New York Magazine because they're writing a story on her, like
Oh,
a
yeah.
big feature piece. So
New York,
yeah,
New York Times?
New York Magazine.
New York
Yeah,
Magazine. Okay.
yeah.
Wow, this
Like
is
don't know
crazy.
when
I'm gonna have to look her up.
when that's gonna come out. Could take like a couple months even, but I mean they're working on it. That's what I know. So yeah, and she was
She's the
on
one who
Dutch
wrote the book. What's the name of
television
the book?
recently and stuff.
Is
It's
she the one?
the last spring of the dinosaurs, but it's only currently still in Dutch. They are working on an English release. So
Oh,
she's working on like writing it in English and adding things for the international public. So yeah,
very cool.
that's my sister.
Yeah. You should be proud. I'm sure she's proud of you too.
I am. No, I'm
All right.
sure. Okay,
Well,
my
yeah.
sixth question for you, I think. Have you been to a country outside of the United States of America?
Well, no. I mean, most Americans haven't.
No, I know, but like I can't say the United States of America like normal.
Oh.
I'm too sarcastically Dutch for this. No, I love the United States of America. One day I'm going to go there. But have you been to a country outside of the U.S.? And if so, if there are more, which one was your favorite that you visited? Like
Yeah, of
not
course.
a fairy tale dream like the Netherlands.
Well, I saw you went to Scotland recently. We also went to Scotland, and we went to the UK last spring. So England and Scotland, and of course, I've been to Canada multiple times. I've been to Mexico, Jamaica. That's about it, though. I have not been very many places. I have not been to the Netherlands. As far as where I want to go next,
Aw.
yeah, like I think I really want to go to Iceland. And I do want to go to really all the Scandinavian countries, to be honest, just kind of make the round. Like my friend,
Do
my
you
good
like
friend's
to
going to
feel
Norway.
small?
What's
Like
that?
it sounds like you want to feel small.
Oh,
You want to
yeah.
see all the Scandinavian countries. We're all giants here.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least, like Americans are getting pretty tall too for some reason. It seems like all my students got a little bit taller every year. It's weird.
Oh, nice. That's good.
But
They're probably eating a lot more potatoes now.
yeah, what is it that makes it that we grow taller? I was going to make a video about that. Yeah, why?
I
You have the
honestly
tallest
think it
people in the
has to
world in
do
your
with the
country.
potatoes. Yeah, I honestly believe that it has to do like it has to be connected with potatoes.
Really?
It just has to be.
The potato hypothesis.
I think this is the potato hypothesis, but like Scandinavian people, including like the Dutch, the Danes, the Germans, people from the UK, and like Upper Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Finland, not so much, but still a bit, and Iceland, we eat a lot of potatoes. And why do we eat a lot of potatoes? Our ground is perfectly fertile for it. Like it grows very fast here. And potatoes can go a long way. They're not like you have to use them within a week after they sprout, which is perfect. You can grow them all year long, which is perfect. And you can make them in a variety of ways. Like you can fry them, cook them, bake them, mash them, continue, and you can put them in nearly every dish you eat.
Yeah.
So when I grew up, we ate potatoes 6 days of the week at my dad's house when I was 9. The first 9 years I lived with my mom, but like it doesn't matter. But when I started living with my dad, I was 9. I was a runt in my classroom. I was the oldest, but I was also the runt. And then I started eating potatoes like 6 days a week. And after 2.5 years, I started getting this growth spurt, which is not fun. And I went from 1 meter and like 48 centimeters to 1 meter and 76 centimeters in like less than 2 years. I went, whew. A meter and 30 centimeters is not normal for a person to grow. And that happened after I started eating the potatoes every day, 6 days a week. So I think it has to do something connected with potatoes that makes us tall. Like I just firmly believe that fried potatoes don't really work because you killed all that was good, because that's what I ate a lot the first 9 years of my life, and I was the right. So fried potatoes don't work as well.
Well, this is an interesting hypothesis that we need to explore more. That's just an anecdote, but hey, you could be onto something here. And I will say 2 things that came to mind. First, the metric system, I got lost really quickly because, us dang Americans with the metric system. So I kind of know what you're talking about. But and second, here in America, we also, I'm not even really joking when I say this, but pretty much everything that Americans eat has either corn in it or potatoes. If it's not meat, it's corn or potatoes. You look at the ingredients of stuff. And so maybe that has something, maybe you're onto something, is again what I'm saying here.
Maybe the Americans have been eating more cooked potatoes the past few decades, and that's why they're starting to grow. maybe. Because like when I met my boyfriend, started cooking dinner for him, and at the beginning he was like, I want to eat like healthy protein meals because he was working out a lot, so I would make like chicken wraps and all that stuff. And after a while it was like, I'll just make potatoes, veggies, and like meat. But I started with like baked potatoes, and we liked them for a while. And after a while I was like, I'm in the need for just a cooked potato, like super simple with a gravy, like please, like super basic Dutch food. And he was like, okay, well, we can do that for a day. It's been a year.
Oh,
nearly every day cooked potatoes. We both love it with a gravy. And we barely eat like chicken wraps or my chicken curry that I love to make, and it's delicious, but we rarely eat it because when we look at each other and we're walking around in the gym and working out 6 days a week, we look at each other and it's like, what do you want to eat, honey? And he's like, I'm in the mood for some cooked potatoes. And I'm like, yeah, me too, every single day.
Yeah, I love potatoes.
So yeah.
You could do so much with them too.
Potatoes.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Most versatile food is a potato.
And that's what the Irish lived off of. Some of my ancestors were Irish. That's
nice.
The famine happened in the 1800s because of the lack of potatoes.
Yeah.
So God bless the potato. Yeah. We worship the potato. All hail potato.
And the Netherlands is like potato capital. We eat it the most.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, when you look at like the little amount of people we have, it's on a global scale.
So per capita.
Say it's not that much, but like per person, potato on a yearly basis, we're like on the top of it, I think.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
Because I really think that I think the general Dutch person eats potatoes at least 3 to 4 times a week, cooked potatoes, like simple bought potatoes from the store.
Yeah.
So and that's already a lot.
Yeah, no, that's somebody in the chat. So I don't even know if this is like factually true. My dad always told it to me growing up that you can survive just off of potatoes. Like if you were on a stranded island and all you had was potatoes, you'd be all right.
I mean, yeah, your stomach will eventually start to hurt because there's not that much vitamin C in potatoes. There's a little bit, but there's not much. And it's like starchy. So eventually your poop's not going to look fun. But if you can like find some plants to incorporate with it, you're good. You're good.
Okay, so just get some orange juice and potatoes.
Yeah. I mean, I used to grow my own potatoes. It's very simple.
Oh, that's another thing. They're pretty hardy. They survive. Like I have a hard time growing anything, and that's one of the few things that I can grow. Don't mean to brag, but I can grow potatoes.
Nice.
I missed the super chat. Sorry, Kai. Discuss RFK Jr. not getting Secret Service protection. You probably have no idea who that is, but I'll just answer really quickly. I don't know why he doesn't have Secret Service protection, and I think it's kind of weird and suspicious. Yeah, especially considering he's running for president, just like his dad did in 1968, and we know what happened to his dad. He was assassinated. So yeah, I should explore that more. And Kayleigh's like, what the heck? Or who's RFK Jr.? Robert Kennedy
fine.
Jr.? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's Kennedy, right?
Yeah, like John F. Kennedy's brother. Yeah, so this is his nephew,
the brother.
John F. Kennedy's.
I was like, is this the son or the brother or like the nephew?
You know.
Brother.
Man, look at you. Yeah, it's his nephew that's running for president.
We get taught American history a little bit in Europe. Why? Because America, sorry, this is not to offend anyone, please don't hate me. But the people in America often think that they're like the most important people on the planet. And that's fine. I still love all y'all for it. But the thing is that the reason that America is like globally, has this influence on a global scale, people in Europe will be taught about American history.
Why would
because
you think that?
Global effects. I mean, the whole flag thing and like the what was it, the singing or what with the flag and the schools, that would not go in other countries.
Oh yeah, and
but America does it.
It's very nationalistic.
Yeah, the Pledge to Allegiance, yes. So we don't do that in other countries. But the shame in this, I feel like in Europe, we get taught history of other countries. So I was taught a bit of French history, Spanish history, Italian history, German history, British history, American history, Russian history, China history, Japanese history, continue. And when I look at the American school system, I don't think that they're teaching the kids about British history, French history, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, like the effects that those countries had on a global scale once upon a time. The Netherlands had a kingdom that was also on a global scale once upon a time. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's sad that Americans are missing out on so much fun history.
I mean, we do teach it. It just not enough.
Thank God.
I taught world history as well.
At least a little bit.
Yeah. We definitely taught. Well, we especially teach about the British. We teach about the British too much and world history. We neglect African history and Asian history. Unfortunately, European history.
It gets neglected here as well a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
It is what it is.
All right. Well, I think it's your turn.
It's my turn. All right. We're already on 7, I think.
Are we? So it's my turn.
Did you? Oh, it's your turn. Ooh.
Right? 1, 2.
We almost messed up here.
You've already done 6, right?
Yep, I done 6.
This is why we do this. Okay.
You see?
We're on 7.
Good thing we have that.
So, I guess I have 2 more related questions to your content. So we'll knock those out. First one is,
sure.
What has been the most amazing archaeological discovery this century, this decade, this past year? If you don't want to answer all those, that's fine, but just
this century, Göbekli Tepe and the Taştepeler sites in Turkey, the oldest man-made structures ever created in the world that we currently know of, by far. That's the century one.
You mean over the past 100 years? Or when was it discovered?
Yeah.
Do you know?
60s, and excavation started in the 90s.
Okay.
So it was discovered like 60 plus years ago, and then excavation started like in the 90s, so 30 plus years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's century. Decade, I would say Homo naledi, the discovery of this ancient pre-human species that lived in South Africa and we found their burials in the Rising Star Cave system, in the Cradle of Humankind area in Africa. So that species is mind-blowing because they were very small and had small brains, but it seems like they buried their dead and were able to create fire and maybe artwork. So yeah, amazing. So mind-blowing. And this past year, I'm gonna have to scroll to my channel because I covered them. But I have to look at when did I make this? When did I make that?
Yeah.
Did I make this in the last year? That's kind of what I'm need to figure out. Did I make this video last year? Is this more than a year ago or not? That's all I need to know.
Well, if it's the last couple of years,
it was made September 11, 2022. Sorry for the 9/11 plug there. Excuse me, didn't mean to do that. But sorry, it was evidence of a surgical amputation dating back to 31,000 years ago.
Wow.
And the person survived.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah. The person survived.
So for me, that's mind-blowing. And one of the biggest pieces of evidence that what I just said about you don't need to be a civilization to be sophisticated, that culture of people were sophisticated and intelligent and capable enough to carry out a surgical amputation in which the person did not die from being amputated. So they didn't die from shock. So they had to have some kind of pain relief, I think, probably some herbs or stuff. I mean, I hope that the person getting the amputation was spacing the F out on herbs and things. Yeah, please, hope. Because you can go into shock when you're in too much pain, your body can go into shock and you can die from shock.
Yeah, you can.
So the fact that they actually survived that amputation 31,000 years ago, mind-blowing. Yeah.
Okay,
Did not expect that to be a thing.
The 31,000 years ago. That seems like so long ago.
It is. Wow. Back then, people did not have blue eyes.
Really?
That wasn't a thing. That mutation wasn't a thing yet because blue eyes emerged 10,000 years ago.
That recently?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. I'm a freak.
And I have green eyes, and this is even more recent and rare.
That's right. Yeah. What about hazel eyes? Is that even more recent than green eyes? Or does that go longer than...
I think hazel went kind of hand in hand with green.
Okay.
Because you need some green tones for hazel.
I always tell my daughters that I was you have blue eyes, we're freaks. We're most people.
We are the mutations.
Yeah, yeah.
Even the white skin, blonde hair, blue eye, or green eye, that's a mutation. People did not have this more than 10, 20, 30,000 years ago.
Yeah.
We used to look a lot more the same. It's just that we all went to live in these strange places on this planet further away from the equator, and that had an effect on how our genes mutated.
Right, right.
Neanderthals were even more diverse than us. So they could have darker or even lighter skin than us, and they had probably more eye colors and hair colors and all that stuff.
I did
a video on that where Neanderthals white got attacked for being a racist. Has nothing to do with race. Simply has to do with the scientific look of evolution and mutations and where in the world you live, how much that affects your eventual evolution.
So red hair was a Neanderthal?
It's a common misconception.
Oh.
Neanderthal genes, the red hair comes from Neanderthals. Neanderthals did indeed have red hair, but that mutation died out with them. So they did not carry that up over to us,
Okay.
we had our own mutation that created red hair. So it's not related, but both red hair, but different mutations led to them having it, and there's no DNA correlation.
Yeah, I just, I did that video about systemic racism recently, and I mentioned that, the idea of race it's a social construct. This has been well established for at least 100 years, and then there's been a growing movement, reactionary movement, to say no, it's all science, it's biological, and all this, and basically starting with the white supremacy first, and then working backwards to pretend like they're not white supremacists because they're trying to make it so that, oh no, there's biological differences, and that's what. But anyway, that was a little. I mean, it's a little disturbing to me how many people don't realize that this term white is really new. Like, it only goes back to like the late 1500s is really when you start to see it in texts. And people are like, oh, what about the ancient Romans or ancient Greeks? No, they didn't use those terms. They had, in fact, there were other genetic traits that they sometimes like. Imagine if we divided ourselves, like if race was instead about eye color, for example. I brought this example up to my students when I used to teach about racism, and I said it could be really any genetic phenotype. They just kind of decided to choose this because it was convenient, because it justified enslaving Africans. That's literally why they decided to do that.
On a mass scale. They did
right.
It's all about the mass scale that they have to justify it, because slavery already pre-existed, of course, like the slave trade in Africa. And then slavery was also very persistent in white civilizations in Europe.
Yep.
So, I mean, we were all enslaved once. Like, it doesn't matter what your skin color was, where you come from, but your ancestors were enslaved in some way. Yeah. So, slavery existed, of course, but but yeah. It's the thing that they had to justify it, and it had to be visually, like, you had to be from, like, a distance that you could say, that's the different one. And that's why it's skin color and not like eye color, like you said. Because for eye color, you need to be like a lot closer to someone. And then it becomes a lot more difficult to say, I want to enslave you. Just like all the keyboard warriors we have now on the internet that are like anonymous. It's a bit like that, because back then it was like the British and like the Portuguese and the Dutch and all that stuff. And we said that they were different, and therefore we can enslave them, and therefore we can be cruel to them because we don't personally know them. We're kind of anonymous from a distance. So enslave them, put them on a boat and like scooch them off. So it's more like that. It feels like more like the keyboard warriors we have now.
Again, it's them coming up with their opinion first and then trying to find facts, evidence later to back up their opinion. Yeah. No, that's been on my mind lately because of that video.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I think.
Okay, my seventh.
Yeah.
If you had to choose, because like this is a gun to your head, you have to choose.
Oh, no.
Would you rather live in the Middle Ages or in the Late Stone Age, the Neolithic? And why would you prefer that one that you pick over the other?
It depends on where I'm at in the hierarchy for the Middle Ages, because if I'm at the top of the hierarchy in the Middle Ages, then I would definitely prefer it. Like
in your country, in the States, are you like a descendant from someone high up back in the Middle Ages? Because if so, then you would be golden. If not, then you wouldn't be fine.
Well, Genie Blogger was here earlier in the chat. He actually did a whole series on my ancestry, and he built a family tree and looked it up, and we traced most of my ancestors actually to your part of Europe, actually. So Germany, Belgium, France, UK, Ireland, and
they never say the Netherlands, so it's like fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, Netherlands too, I think, but I don't remember. I can't recall exactly, but I have no idea about royalty. But that's the thing. I think it depends on where I'm at. But if I were to be a peasant in the Middle Ages, I think I would rather be in the
Good
Stone
luck.
Ages because it was more communal back then. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Neolithic times. Actually, there's evidence. I mean, I don't know much about that era. Everything I learned from watching channels like your own. But from what I understand, um, like there's a lot more freedom for a lot of people back then. Yeah, you were worried about dying all the time because of you didn't know there was no known.
Depending still where you live, because in the Neolithic we can see all these megalithic structures being built, which means
True.
people had surplus. So
That's
it
I.
was easier to survive around that time. That's why I picked the Neolithic, because it's more of like a better time in ancient history.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of a misconception too about history in general. Is that it's a linear progress. It's like
Yeah.
when actually, and then that's this whole term of Dark Ages. I mean, yeah, we don't like to use it. Historians don't like to say the term Dark Ages anymore. But I think it's just a good example of that. Oh, it's false to assume that we're always just moving forward in society. Like,
Mhm.
and it's always also, I think the reason why they don't like to use the term Dark Ages is because that was a very specific part of the world. It was not the Dark Ages in the Middle East, for example. That was there, things were going great
Yeah.
there during that same time. So yeah, it's complicated, but I think where you make a really good point because where you're at during the Neolithic. So you've changed my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neolithic.
Yeah, because like during the Neolithic, Northern Europe, which were like the countries that you say you're from, like descendant from, you were good. Germany, France, the British Isles, Ireland, Scandinavia, they were good.
Okay
Yeah,
then.
you probably survived and had a good life. Like for me, it would definitely be the Neolithic, but I know a bit of my ancestry. My last name, During, comes from the Thuringi tribe, which was like a Germanic tribe over in Germania, which is present day Germany. But before that, you had the Hermanduri, and the Hermanduri were a Swabi tribe, and the Swabi tribes were like the descendants of the Irminones, which is before Christ, so BCE period. So I know where I'm from. I know which area I would be located if I was from going back to the Neolithic. And I know that my ancestors, the Hermanduri, fought the Huns and won.
Oh, really?
So I'm a descendant from a warrior tribe. Yeah. And my dad's name is Herman During. Completely unrelated because no one knew that he was descendant from them. But like
Oh,
Herman
wow.
During is descendant from Hermanduri tribe. That was really cool to find out. So yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, that's a cool coincidence there. All right. Well, the last, I think, archaeological question, and I'm sorry if this is an annoying question, but what's
No,
the
that's
quickest,
fine.
like we're talking about my audience, I think I had in mind for this because like I think a lot of my audience maybe necessarily isn't into ancient history. So what's the quickest way to convince people that yes, humans created the pyramids? The quickest way to convince them.
The quickest way. The stones were quarried nearby, the outer casing stones, of like the casing stones that you still see, the limestones on the outside that we currently still see, were quarried quite close to the pyramids. The quarry sites are there. I've not personally been there, but I know many people personally that have been there. So the granite was quarried, I think, from Aswan, brought by boats. Very simple. We humans are incredible. We are amazing. We are inventive. We are intelligent. We are sophisticated. We did that. And we can be proud of it. Exactly. Like pat on the back. We did that. It had a human purpose. A tomb is not just a burial place. A tomb is a sacred site, the most sacred site there is, the place where you are closest to the gods. Building a pyramid, being a worker building the pyramid, was the highest honor there was back in the day when they were built. They were doing the work of the gods for the current living God that once their current living god, the pharaoh, would pass away, would be joined by the other gods that they were already worshipping. So they were doing God's work for the living God so that he could be with the other gods that they were already worshipping, because that's the level we're talking about.
So similar to churches, these giant churches and synagogues and etc.
Look at churches nowadays in the States, because your churches are a lot different than we have in my countries. Okay. They're huge, but also, what do they do every sermon? Don't they do the basket with the money?
Yes.
Collecting money from the people that worship. So why are people believing in a God that makes them pay for believing in him? To me, that makes zero sense, because what? You can't explain it to me. I'll never understand. It's simple. But the people that do believe in God, in the Christian God, whether they are Protestants or Roman Catholic, doesn't matter, because both of them do this. At least in the States, I think. In the Netherlands, this is not a thing. You go to a church, and in some Roman Catholic churches, they will indeed bring out a basket, and you will be frowned upon if you don't pay.
Oh, yeah.
But go to a Protestant church, and they will never bring out a basket. No.
Well, some do.
Never. In the Netherlands, the Protestant churches do not. As far as I know. Like in the Netherlands, this is not a thing with Protestant churches. Now, the thing is, most people that are Protestant and believers are quite rich or have at least enough money, so they will voluntarily pay. Still weird to me, like, why would you pay? But like, translate that to ancient times. People are willing to pay to be able to believe in a God in modern times. What were they doing? Like, what were they sacrificing in ancient times? Their lives,
their labor,
their livelihoods, their labor. So they were they were an agricultural civilization. All the workers building the pyramids would be building on the pyramids until the Nile flooded. And plants needed to be, like, the crops needed to be yielded or planted. Those were the times that they were not building on the pyramids, because they still had their regular job to like sustain the country. So, and you can see this, and you have like all these worker villages around the pyramids of Giza, on the Giza plateau. You have massive villages where the workers who were building the pyramids lived while they were building the pyramids. And in certain times of the year, they would abandon those worker villages and go back to where they came from so that they could do their agricultural labor. And then when all that was done, the crops were planted or the crops were harvested, they would go back to the worker villages near the pyramids and continue building. And yeah, you need a massive force of people, but the Egyptian civilization was massive. And yeah, they had the workforce. They were doing God's work. The highest honor there was, and they were buried. The workers that died during the construction were buried near the pyramids. Highest honor. Yeah. For me, that's like the clearest sign that it was built by humans. Why else? We have these worker villages with like hieroglyphics talking about their work on building the pyramids.
Yeah.
Why would an alien leave that behind? You know?
Yeah. I've joked around before, like saying like, well, I know we already talked about the skyscrapers in New York City not being around in 5,000 years, but let's say that they were, they made it, and people in 5,000 years, it would be completely not surprising for people in the future to look back on those skyscrapers and said, wow, the aliens had these things, you know, especially if like a lot of information was lost between now and then. That's another thing that we should never assume, is that all the information that we have right now is going to be with us. And even 1,000 years. Like information gets lost
Yeah.
daily. The internet is being
Yeah.
erased daily. Dead internet theory. Look it up. It's something that I think about a lot too, because information so
That's my livelihood, dude. The internet. I need the internet to survive.
well, I know it's
Without the internet, I have no job.
well, part of the reason why like I'm still drawn toward books, like, and places like the Library of Congress are so important. It's because like we shouldn't take any of this for granted, especially if the power grid goes out in your country or
Yeah.
whatever, like uh just I don't know. I also I think it's really cool that there are vaults around the world where we're storing not only seeds for the future survival of our species, but also
Yeah, the Doomsday Vault.
books and even movies and just
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who love history, we appreciate preserving old stuff because we realize, oh wow, it just won't be around if we don't take care of it, and we forget. Humans forget so
Yeah.
easily. I even recent history that I teach, that I grew up with in the 90s and the aughts, like, it is amazing how many people don't know that history, and it happened 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
we have to remember.
Yeah. So my eighth question, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's my turn, I think.
It is.
So I made this question, and then later on I sent you an email with like a Wikipedia page.
Oh yeah.
And then you responded, and your response was like, damn it, he knows.
Oh.
So like, are you familiar with the origin story of New York and the influence of the Dutch had on the American language? So it's like both of them. So how New York used to be New Amsterdam, settled by the Dutch, that Brooklyn, the part of New York, Brooklyn, comes from the Dutch town Breukelen. Haarlem comes from the Dutch city of Haarlem, and that the Wall Street used to be where the wall of the Dutch settlement was located. And then the words used in your American language nowadays comes from the Dutch language. For instance, koekje became cookie, daalder became dollar. So our currency, the daalder, was eventually like merged into like the word dollar. And stoep, S-T-O-E-P, our word for like the sidewalk, stoop, became stoop, S-T-O-O-P.
Okay.
So nearly the same. So like my country and my ancestors from this country had quite the influence on the United States of America. And how much of that are you familiar with? That's the question.
Yeah. I'm pretty familiar with it. I mean, I used to teach colonial history, and I did spend some time on the Dutch's influence, not just in New Amsterdam, but also like Peter Stuyvesant in Delaware, which is what's today Delaware. And there were not very many of them, but they were they had quite the impact, as you just stated. I mean, the thing is,
like I forgot one thing to mention, like while I was writing the question. The Declaration of Independence partially was written because of the Dutch Declaration of Independence.
Oh, that's right.
The Plakkaat van Verlatingen, the Placket of Verlatingen. That was used as sort of the basis for the Declaration of Independence of the Americans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, after
if we did not declare our independence from the Spanish Inquisition and all that stuff after the 80 Years' War, the American Declaration of Independence would have looked a lot different if it was even written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know. Okay.
Many people don't know.
Oh, okay. I had to Google it. Let me just put up Wikipedia again. I defend Wikipedia.
Take your time.
Okay. Let's see.
Wikipedia is amazing.
Oh, here we go. So yeah, there was only, it says by 1655, there was only around 2,000 people in New Netherland. 1,500 living in New Amsterdam. By 1664, I'm reading this right off here. It had risen to almost 9,000. Now, that's not many people. That's not.
No.
But the fact that still the
But we also
influence.
come from a tiny country, and back then, even the Netherlands itself did not have even that many people. So it was still quite a lot compared. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were there first, and then we now know the influence of New York. I mean, New York became the biggest city in the United States in the early by the early 1800s. It was the biggest. It had overtaken Philadelphia and Boston, and ever since it's been the biggest city, one of the most influential cities in the world since the late 1800s. And so that the legacy of the Dutch in New York never went away. Those first settlers. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like I live in Lawrence, Kansas, in the Midwest. It's like a town that was established by people from Massachusetts, and even that I think impacts. Like it doesn't matter who comes later. The people who found a settlement, I think, have a tremendous influence on all future settlers. Because I mean, yeah, we got a lot of Dutch immigrants throughout the early years of the United States. I mean, one of the most famous is Martin Van Buren, who was the 8th president who actually spoke Dutch, and English was his second language. From the Fox of Kinderhook, a Dutch settlement in upstate New York. But yeah, like I think the thing that's kind of crazy that I always think about with this is there wasn't that many people that really kind of got it going. Like, and I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the Dutch stuck around after the British took over. And the other thing
Yeah.
is, like, I think when we talk, we're speaking English right now. Like, everybody in the Netherlands is taught English,
Yeah.
right, to speak fluently, like both
Yeah.
Dutch and English. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, in the United States, it's only English.
I mean, like, we start giving English lessons in like the last 2 years of elementary, and
Oh,
then and that's like an hour, maybe 2 hours a week. That's just slowly roll you into it a little bit,
oh, that's
and
way
then when
off.
you go to high school, it's like I think 2, 3, 4 hours a week that you get English. I wasn't allowed to enter my English lessons.
Oh, why not?
I was not allowed because on the very first day of school in high school at English, my English teacher was saying like an English sentence. We are walking down the street, and he said it like, "We are walking down the street." And like my ears were bleeding, and I told him like, "Sir, you don't pronounce English like that." And I said it in English, and he looked at me and he's like, "You're not allowed to be in my classes. You're only allowed to make your exams."
Wow.
And I was like, "Okay, I've got free time. Yay."
Wait, so
So I never went to English lessons.
how did you learn it then?
No. From a young age, my mom spoke a little bit of English and like
Oh,
cartoons and like movies, Disney movies in English,
oh
normal
yeah.
movies in English with like Dutch or English subtitles, so you learn the words a little bit. And then as you get older, the internet came and that became a thing. And then you had like MSN Messenger. That was awesome when I was young. MSN was just, yeah, the
Yep.
perfect. And then through MSN, I came in contact with like people from America and Britain and Australia, and you had to type English. So I was often like translating things, but that's how I learned English. And then the pronunciation comes from speaking English with people over the phone or a voice call, and yeah, do that enough for quite a long time, and then eventually you can just speak English.
Yeah.
And people
Well,
often ask me where I'm from in like the States or Britain or Australia because they don't know where my accent is from, and I'm like, my hillbilly Russian, whatever accent that goes all the way fluently, I'm Dutch.
yeah, it is hard to
Because my
kind of think
accent
of.
goes all the way.
Yeah, it's not as distinctive, I guess, as other English accents. But
Yeah,
well, the reason why I brought this all up is because it wasn't that many people in the British Empire that really controlled the entire world there for a while,
yeah,
which is the reason why English is the most popular language on the planet right now. It doesn't really,
yeah.
I don't know. To me, that's just an
It could
amazing
have been
thing.
Dutch.
It easily could have been
Honestly,
Dutch.
it all could have been Dutch
It could
because
have
if
been.
the Dutch had won in that last Dutch Anglo War, in which we lost,
Yeah.
a lot of our territories to the English, then it could have been the Dutch Empire that was massive on a global scale for a long time and had the influence that the British Empire eventually had. And then Dutch could have been the main language globally.
Of the world.
Which is super weird for me to think about, because Dutch isn't sexy. It's not a sexy language
English
at
isn't.
all. No, English is lots. No, but like, listen, like in England or in America, you say good morning. It sounds fun. In the Netherlands, you say goeiemorgen.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound sexy at all. It sounds like I'm choking on something.
A lot of the
I'm used to it, but
kind of
it doesn't sound fun. Like the Dutch G, and I'm good at the Dutch G and the Dutch R. Your R's have to roll and your G has to growl. But yeah.
Well, German, it seems like you have two people speaking German back and forth, and sometimes you can't tell if they're like happy or sad. You're just like
even for me, it all sounds like they're fighting constantly all the time, and they're quite loud. At least the German tourists we get in the Netherlands, they're really loud. And so it sounds like they're always angry, but they refuse to speak English. Like the people 40 years old and older, they refuse to speak English or Dutch, and they come here to our country and they start speaking German to you, and they expect you to understand everything. And I'm like, I flunked German 4 years in a row. I'm very proud, even though I'm of German descent, but I flunked. I have no idea what you're talking about. I know immer geradeaus, which is just go straight ahead, which is very important when they ask directions. It's just always immer geradeaus. Good luck.
All I know is
not the person to ask for this, because I have no idea how to give directions in German. So it's just like, go ahead until you see someone else.
That's a good way to kind of like keep them away. Just say that and move on. Yeah.
But of course I know like German swear words. Who doesn't know swear words in other languages?
Nah,
so yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, I know 3
phrases.
That's basically it. All right. Well, we got to move this on because we've been going 2.5 hours here, more than 2.5 hours, and it's getting late there.
I told you.
In Holland, North Holland.
No, it's fine. It's still dark for another 10 hours.
I was going to say it's the dark time of year for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a YouTube related question. So being a YouTuber, I don't even know, to be honest. When I watch your videos, I don't watch your shorts, and I don't watch a whole lot of YouTube shorts. But in your opinion, how has YouTube shorts changed YouTube? Has it been a net positive or a net negative or meh, somewhere in between?
I think for a lot of people, it's been a positive, especially for people just starting out, because you can get a following really quick.
True.
Not the watch hours you need to get monetized, but at least the subscribers. So I think it can be very beneficial. I've dabbled a little bit in shorts. I haven't made a lot of them. Most of the shorts I started with was me singing because I was conflicted about, do I still want to sing? But I also wanted like trailers for when my videos were premiering. So in the meantime, that people had something to see that was more personally me, instead of just work focused. So I started making some singing shorts with just some pictures and just put that as a trailer. People often got confused, like, this is not a new archaeological discovery. I didn't click on this video to see a woman singing. There was like pictures of like this blonde bimbo. All that stuff was fun, so I stopped doing that. I've tried to make some shorts from my long form videos. A short video for me is 8 minutes. That's like my shortest content that I upload.
Yeah.
When I started, I sometimes made like shorter videos with like a very short, simple discovery. But usually my content is 8 minutes and above, mostly around 15 minutes. So for me, making a short video using not many words, like, do people even know me? I can't do that. I use way too many words. I'm a talker. So I tried to condense long form videos and short form content, and I spent like 12 hours editing, still hating it, thinking I leave everything that's important out, upload the short, hate it. So I don't make many shorts. I've been thinking about making some short form content about like human evolution in 60 seconds. Like that's even possible. So the fact that I've been thinking about things like that means I must be losing my mind, because I don't think it's possible.
I think it'd be
But
good
I
for
will
like,
try.
I mean, you know how you do those discovery videos. I think a lot of times if it's a discovery that's not maybe that big a deal, but it's still something
Yeah.
you should be aware of, I think it would fit in 60 seconds.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a possibility, actually. I can think of that. Thank you for that idea in my mind.
Sure. Well, I do have conflicting views about YouTube Shorts, and I do make them, and I've found some success with them. And yeah, it's a balance because I've got new subscribers. Like they've kind of kept my channel afloat for a while. I mean, there's only 135 people watching this right now at this moment because
Yeah.
YouTube doesn't really promote live streams that much, and
No,
and plus
not
it's me.
anymore.
But no, for like I can make a crappy short and it still like
Yeah.
it promotes it. I'm like, why are you promoting this so much? Okay. But yeah, like
Yeah.
you kind of have to just go with it because we want to keep this ride going. And I mean, it's not all bad. I think there's a lot of things you can teach in 60 seconds. But the other thing that I think you didn't bring up is we want viewers to stick around, and they don't really stick around if they just keep scrolling through short videos. The same thing on TikTok.
Yeah.
They don't really
I
remember.
mean, for YouTube, it's perfect because they stick around on YouTube for
Right.
longer because they're scrolling, and that's why YouTube keeps pushing it. Make more
Well,
shorts,
but they
make more
also,
shorts this.
when they're not scrolling on through shorts, they will get recommended longer form content. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm subscribed to this person. Whereas TikTok does not do that. And also TikTok pays even less than YouTube does for shorts, which is ridiculous. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah. The shorts that I've made are also on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
And
Maybe
I uploaded like when I had my owl tattoo. When my grandma passed, I got an owl tattoo for her. So when that was finished, like the finished piece of that, I've got that as a TikTok. And just some travel videos, like short form captions of like a temple facade, things like that. I've created into like TikToks. But I want to dabble a lot more in like TikTok and short form content, but I probably should find myself an editor for like short form stuff. Because honestly, I want to use too much words and information and just crap that all in. It's not good to have a cramped TikTok. That's just nah. It has to be like a little bit concise. Yeah, I always talk too much. That's my thing.
Oh, it's okay. No,
why else would you be here for nearly 3 hours? Is this your longest 10 questions?
Actually, no. I think the longest episode ever was a Toon Shy. So I think that was like 4 hours. So don't worry.
Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good.
I just realized.
I was like,
now you're going to be like, you know, constantly thinking about that. Oh, I gotta shorten what I say.
No.
All right.
No, it's fine. No. So, okay, I think it's my turn.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Since you're quite into politics, you know that there are 3 countries outside of the country of the Netherlands in which the inhabitants are able to vote in Dutch elections. These countries are Saba, Saint Eustatius, and Bonaire, and they are known as the Island Council in our elections.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 other Caribbean countries in the Kingdom of the Netherlands, like they're part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. They are not able to vote in our elections, and these are the countries of Curaçao, Aruba, and the Dutch half of the island, Saint Martin. But were you aware of the 3 that are able to vote in our elections?
Yes, I was, only because I did that research for the video when I compared the Netherlands and Belgium. And I was like, this is totally a similar situation to the United States. We have these territories, part of the country, but at the same time, the citizens there, they don't get a vote. They don't get true representation in our legislature. And so they're kind of in limbo. And it's weird because I don't know how they are on these islands, these Dutch islands, but and they're islands in the United States as well. But the people that live on these islands often are conflicted because they don't really want full independence a lot of times, but they also like, man, I wish I had more say in government. So they kind of just go with it generally. And I know like it's especially the Pacific territories, the ones that are way out there are less likely to like want to become independent because it's like, oh, this military protection in particular. Whereas Puerto Rico, which is like, it's pretty close. There's a growing movement there, I think, where they want to be at least a state. And there's even a lot of people there that want to be a separate country even, which I didn't even know until the last few years. I was like, whoa, they want to, why would you want to leave the United States?
But so that's the thing, like all 6 of these islands, including Suriname, the country on like the South American plain, they used to be like part of the kingdom and elections and all that stuff. And it was like important. They were part of us, but they wanted independence. Mm-hmm. They wanted to be their own. But these 3 that are still allowed to vote in the elections have decided to be more of like, they're a separate state within. So like they're still part of. They have Dutch passports, but the other 3 as well, like Curaçao, Aruba, Dutch half of St. Martin, people born there get a passport from the Kingdom of the Netherlands because they are officially a citizen of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, but they were born in their own respective countries. But the 3 that wanted to be able to vote in our elections decided that they just want to be a state within instead of an independent country of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. So the only thing that the 3 islands that don't vote have in common with us is that they have the same monarchy. Our king is still their king because they're part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Yeah.
Is it which islands are they here? Are they further north? Or,
it's the lower ones. Yeah, it's those. Okay. And I think St. Martin and Saba and St. Eustatius are like on the higher one of the circles.
Yeah.
And then you have the country of Suriname, which is above Brazil.
Okay.
But that's not like shown in this graph. Yeah.
For some reason. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
All right.
I mean, New Zealand was New Zealand once. So founded by the Dutch, just like Australia was first settled by the Dutch. We did things.
Yeah, no, I know.
We also messed up a lot.
Yeah, they just didn't have. I mean, I think what it came down to is a lack of settlers. Same thing with the Spanish. Even the English just brought over more settlers in those early years, and that's what it came down to. All right, we're down to our last
last one.
Yeah, and if you're just now joining us, if you're wondering what the heck is going on, I've been chatting with Kayleigh During.
Yeah,
History with Kayleigh is the channel. Subscribe to it if you haven't already. Focus on really just ancient peoples, ancient stuff. And we have been asking each other open-ended questions. And my final question, let me do the ticker thing, is what's the most annoying thing about being a YouTuber in 2024? Like the thing that you're like,
I don't think about that often. It's the, I think the amount of misinformation being spread and then people attacking me and my factual information for not including the misinformation. I think that's my biggest annoyance. It's not even like the harassment that I get. It's just people attacking me for not covering the Bosnian pyramids, which aren't pyramids, it's just mountains. So
okay.
Things like that. Like when I make a video on a new archaeological discovery, or I do a fact or fiction video in my playlist. I talked about like, is there a pyramid in Antarctica? Like, no, it's been covered with ice for millions of years. Of course, there's no pyramid built by people there. It's just a mountain. And then people attack me for like, you're lying about all this, and you're in the deep state and all that stuff. And then it's like, you're also one of the people that would say that the Bosnian pyramids aren't a thing. And then my response is like, yeah, the Bosnian pyramids aren't a thing. Like, what did you expect? Like, no evidence pointing to it being a man-made structure. It's the amount of misinformation that's being spread. It's insane. So I've made one video covering like the dangers of pseudo-archaeology according to like the academics. Because like I still need to change that title to like according to the academics, because I made that video with academics.
Yeah.
They helped me out. And I'm gonna make a second installment in a couple weeks, maybe months. We'll see. I'm still working on my Neanderthal documentary that I started early November. I'm not very good at like scheduling things out, but I'm definitely gonna make a part 2 about pseudo-archaeology and like the spread of misinformation. And I'm this time probably gonna work with like content creators that deal with this, like make reaction videos or things like that, and see our side of this entire nuisance online, like how we deal with the spread of misinformation and what we can do to combat that. Yeah, but that's my biggest annoyance. It's just being attacked for not believing in something that's not evidence-based at all. How dare I not believe in giants? What?
Giants. No, I can relate to this because I mean I made a video last year. It's actually the video I'm most proud of that I released last year, although it didn't really do as well as I wanted it to. It's about how do you know
usually the case.
True. Yeah, right. But how do you know if something is true or not? And I think epistemology is so important. Like if somebody makes a claim, I think whoever's around them, it's really important that you ask that person who made the claim, how do you know that? Why do you think that? What's your evidence? And actually,
cite your sources.
Yeah, I mean, once you say cite your sources, you start to come across as like pretentious and annoying. I get it.
Yeah, but like where did you get that from? Yeah.
I mean, this is what I did when I was a kid, and that's why I ultimately turned out to be. I mean, I think a lot of people lose their curiosity as they get older, and I think to make curiosity contagious, I think is going to solve a lot of the problems with misinformation because people stop being curious. And it's what's kind of ironic is a lot of these folks that believe in this stuff, in the pseudo stuff, for lack of a better way of putting it, they think that they're free thinkers. That's what blows my mind. They're all repeating the same talking points. They all say the exact same claim, and then they think they're free thinkers. Like, oh, you just believe the expert. You just blindly believe the experts. I'm like, well, you blindly believe your own experts. Like you think, except your experts don't have evidence. That's the difference between my.
And they always all say the same 10 points. It's like a bingo card. You can make yourself that bingo card if it's ancient history or not. I mean, every pseudo history, they all have their own bingo cards in their own respective niches, and you can just print that out once. Like make that once, print it out like 1,000 times, and then once you come across like one of these people, it's like, okay, let's see how fast we can get bingo. 10 seconds, maybe 30 max. Like usually it's like that. When I get a comment, it's like, hey, that's point 1, hey, that's point 2, that's bingo. Next. It's constantly like that. And on Twitter, we have them a lot. In my YouTube comments, we have them a lot. A lot of words are hidden on my channel. Some names of people are hidden on my channel. Mentions of them. Yeah.
Really?
Because I don't want certain names to be used in my comments because only pseudo people will use them. Pseudo believers.
Well, what do you
and they will attack me for not.
Then they'll be
Yeah.
like, people will be like, "Oh, you're just hiding the information. You don't want the truth to be told."
Yeah, yeah. No, like there was a person that I needed to block from everything because not last November, but the year before, like when Ancient Apocalypse came out, I had mass liked some tweets of academics responding to it and voicing their opinion. And I just mass liked them because I wanted to read them later on because it was my birthday. I just wanted to have a good day. So I mass liked some tweets, didn't like barely read them, just wanted to make sure that I was able to find all of them later on in the evening or like the next day. And then an hour or so after that, I was attacked by a alternative history YouTuber, Bright Insight, Jimmy Corsetti. And yeah, he tried to cancel me on Twitter for mass liking tweets because he went through my liked tweets.
Wow.
And like one of the tweets that I had liked during the mass liking of tweets to read back later talked about like white supremacy of like and like the Graham Hancock stuff, and he called me a white supremacist because of that, and he tried to cancel me even though I had just mass liked some tweets to find back later. Didn't do anything wrong, I thought. Felt bad, went to sleep, and then the academics and all started following me en masse. And instead of being canceled, I grew 2,000 followers in 2 days. So thanks, dude. But
every time there's controversial topics, it just helps you in the end. That's why I
eventually, yeah. So I blocked him. He blocked me, but I also tried to block him and mentions of him and his following, who mention him often in their comments when they try to attack you or harass you, because he often tells people to just go ahead and harass people, which they did to a lot of the academics. They have like some of them still have like very bad reviews of like being bad professor or rate my professor websites like that, and they still have like super bad reviews because he told his people to harass them on that.
I thought you couldn't use that site if you couldn't prove you're a student.
Yeah, well, there were students that did this.
Oh, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a thing. So that's why I've decided to make sure that mention of his name and stuff like that is not allowed on my channel, to safeguard myself from
those which we do not speak of.
Yeah, and like other words for like the other harassment stuff, they're not. I mean, I've got like a massive list of blocked words on my channel.
I mean, I think for all of our mental health, I think it's just good for us not to look at the replies and not look. I stopped doing that. It's funny because there's a lot of people who think that I look at, like they talk a lot of trash to me, and they think that I see them, and 90% of the time I don't. I've muted so many people, and they think they're just shouting into the wind. They have no idea that I can't hear them. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Like that's why my engagement was always like very hands-on. I used to engage like a lot until I went viral back in 2021, and then ever since my engagement has been going. And I'm at the point of I'm not sure how much I want to engage. I love the viewers that are just normal and leave normal comments, and I want to show them that I want to thank them and respect them and show them the same respect back. Take a bit of the time of my day to respond to them, but it's getting to a point where even in normal comments there are like these underlining things that you just see. They're often there.
Shout out to History and Headlines, who is also a college professor. Yeah, it's well, yeah. I think we'll wrap this up with your last question for me.
This is a very simple, easy one. So, I mean, the last one, I thought just end it a little bit fun. What's your favorite historical TV show? Simple.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
When I wasn't sure if this was asked or not, so I was like,
no one has ever asked me this. Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to watch the show MASH every day. It's about the Korean War, and it's a comedy though, so it's kind of a weird, like sometimes randomly drama. So that was my favorite history show growing up. Partially got me into history. Plus my grandpa, the same one I mentioned earlier, was in the Korean War. But let's see. As far as more contemporary, I don't watch a lot of historical fiction or historical stuff in general because I kind of want to escape it because I spend all my time reading about it and making videos about it. So I'm just like, okay, I'm done with it. Like, the what's that one show where the Nazis won World War II, the Man in the High Castle or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Everybody kept trying to get me to watch that, and I was like, I'm just done with Nazi Germany. Because that was actually around the time I had just finished a Nazi Germany class in grad school. I was like, I'm done. Because
I remember covering Nazi Germany in high school, and it was just, it felt like forever. Like it felt like the entire school year we just talked about Nazi Germany, and then we were done. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna take me about a decade to start watching or reading anything about Nazi Germany again.
Yeah.
Went like that, kind of.
I still watch historical movies though, like although I embarrassingly have not watched Oppenheimer yet. So yeah.
I watched it actually in the cinema. Yeah.
Did you like it?
With my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law. Because my boyfriend had already watched it with his friends. How dare he? It was a historical movie, and he didn't go with me. Like, how dare? And then he had to go to like Curacao for the Navy for 2 weeks, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just ask his mom if she wants to join me, and she did. And then his brother and the girlfriend of his brother joined as well. So we were like, you know what? We're just gonna watch Oppenheimer. Dope.
I like how you already called them in-laws, so that's a good sign for your relationship.
Oh yeah, no, we are like together. I mean,
that's awesome.
I'm living in his house without officially living here because I still have my apartment, but I won't have my apartment for long. We've been aware that I'm going to live here officially for a couple months now. Just making time to like pick up everything in an apartment and package it and then like hire people to like move it here. I've moved 21 times in my life.
Oh my God.
I don't like moving. Like I'm a bit done moving, so that's why I'm just like procrastinating it.
Yeah, me and Mrs. Beat we figured it out. We've moved 8 times since we got married. We got married in 2005. So
yeah.
That's but I think he beat us. Yeah. Blah Hooper, who are all the contenders to become the 51st state? Well, the Netherlands, of course, is the 51st state. No, probably Puerto Rico, Washington, D.C. Those are the 2 biggest contenders. But I mean, that's really no one else brings up that. They don't bring up the other territories like Mariana Islands or Guam or anything. Those are really the 2. I think I got all the super chats, and we've gone over 3 hours, so we probably should wrap this up.
Yeah, probably.
Well, you said you're a night owl, so I'm glad because you do seem like wide awake despite this late hour.
Oh yeah, I'm like it's 11 p.m. and I'm awake, and nice. I will be awake for like at least 2, maybe 3 hours. Even if I go to lay in bed right now, like after this, directly go to bed, I'll be awake until like 1 or 2 a.m.
Wow,
it just always happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm sad we never had a state called Kanawha. Yeah, me too. All right, well, if in case you haven't already, by golly, you should subscribe to History with Kayleigh. I put the link in the description of this video. And this is also a podcast in case you want to listen to this in the future. It's, RSS. There's anywhere where you get your podcast. This also is a thing. So, but for those of you in the chat, thanks for being here live. And I know we had some trolls this time, but I appreciate it. Thanks to the mods for kind of handling those 12-year-olds who are lonely. And so that's the thing. Most of them are just lonely. They need a friend. But yeah, Kayleigh, thank you for being here. And I just got to say, I really enjoyed talking to you. So getting to know you. This has been great.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
This was fun. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope your channel keeps growing because you're gonna get that million soon, dude.
Oh yeah, I
It
hope.
has to happen.
I
It
mean,
just has to happen someday soon.
unless I just get canceled, right? All
No,
right.
don't be canceled. Not gonna happen.
All right. If you say so. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you for the next episode.